Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Yep, levels sound good. Hello everybody, my name is Jan Gustafsson and welcome to day number 4 of our coverage of the FIDE-Chess.com Online Nations Cup here on Chess24. I am delighted to be joined by 8-time Russian champion and a man who owns at least 3 pastel Lacoste shirts, if not more. Peter Svidler is here.
Indeed, but I did choose a somewhat darker one today because I respond very poorly to any kind of shaming online.
Were you shamed for it?
Pretty much, yeah. People felt I'm not paying enough respect to that great show of ours by not changing my.
You were shamed for having the same color 2 days in a row, or not for the color itself. Got it.
No, not the color. No, the color was very acceptable. It's just that people suspected it's the same polo. Mm-hmm. Something that I will neither confirm nor deny. And yeah,
that's fair enough. I will neither confirm or deny that I did not have a shower today. So what are we doing? This is, of course, our highly prepared, highly produced, and highly anticipated variety show where we mainly cover the Nations Cup. But there will also be Blitz. I think you play Banter Blitz after the Nations Cup rounds are over.
I think that's the plan, yeah.
There will probably be hurt feelings. There probably won't be any Mr. Dodgy. Were we mean, or specifically me to Mr. Dodgy? I never mean to be, but I often feel bad afterwards.
It felt to me like you did not cross any lines there, and okay, I'm fairly sure Dodgy took it in stride. But for people unaware of the beautiful, beautiful friendship the three of us share, may have felt he was hard done by.
Apologies, Mr. Dodgy, if I made the people feel you were hard done by. Is that the correct phrasing? I have to apologize so much. I'm still not very good at it. It's like plugs. Go premium, chess24.com/premium. Watch all the video series. It still doesn't roll off the tongue. How are you holding up?
I'm fine. Although I am. There's been events in the Svidler household. One of my children requested and got almost complete haircut. Like, what's it called in English? Like the crew cut, but going even further than the crew cut.
My haircut English is very bad, as can be seen. From my haircut, I don't know. What's a crew cut? That's just short.
Yeah, and I'm now intensely jealous because I can't handle this situation anymore. But there's apparently a very strict one haircut per day rule in this household. So.
So your wife is giving the kids haircuts, but not you? That's what's happening?
Yeah.
I see. Do you have a machine? Could you just, shave it off?
Yeah, but
for the finals.
Perhaps I will have to resort to something like that, but I haven't yet. But yeah, that's the big news coming out of the Svidler family estate.
So let me guess. I would guess Nikita has the short hair now.
Yes.
In fairness, I had a 50% chance, but I also feel I know exactly what's going on in your household. What do we have going on in the tournament today? China is running away with it, but they're facing maybe their steepest rival in the Europeans today.
Yeah, that is teams number 1 and 2 playing against each other. Playing each other? I do not speak English.
No, your English is amazing for a Russian. Where did you learn to speak that well?
Moving on. should be clearly should be the focus of our first half of the show. The other matches, I mean, US versus Russia, I think matters a great deal to both of those teams, regardless of the team standings. I do feel like there's always an additional needle when Russia plays against the US. But in terms of tournament standings, Europe could do. I was going to say everybody, but actually mainly themselves. I think a huge favor if they beat China.
My
because
biggest...
then they will.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but on, like in terms of tournament intrigue, Europe beating China and the US beating Russia is probably the closest we can come to a very hotly contested last couple of rounds. On current form, you have to say that Europe beating China is not the most obvious outcome in the world. Not because Europe is a weak team, no, by any means, but China has just been so solid so far.
Yeah, China, standout performance by Yu Yangyi on board number 3. He's been crushing it. I think he's 4.5 out of 6. Where Yi's been good. Ding, as expected, yeah, is doing well on board 1. And then they have either Zhou Wenjun or Hou Yifan.
I think they made like board. 1 draw so far. Zhou Wenjun is in 2.5 out of 3, and Hou Yifan is on also 2.5 out of 3. So they made 2 draws on the women's boards out of 6 rounds. That is actually somewhat of a disappointment to me. I honestly thought only 1 draw was somehow salvaged against the juggernaut there.
You're a bitter disappointment, Chinese women's board.
Exactly.
Anish Giri, who only has 0.5 out of 3, is rested by the Europeans. And how does it work? Garry Kasparov is the captain of the European team, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Does he decide the lineup?
I don't actually know. There does seem to be a fair bit of rotation going on, but in the case of the women's board, the rotation is very simple because there's only 2 players vying for 1 spot. But in the men's team, there is obviously a lot more scope for replacing people. Who is the standout performer in the? I think Lev now is probably doing the best after losing the first one. He won 3 in a row.
Not if we count points, but he's been doing well. Karana, I think, has been doing excellently.
No, I mean on the European team. Specifically.
Sorry.
Specifically on the European team, I'm trying to figure out if there's a noticeable rotation policy there. Duda only played 3 games, has done okay, but hasn't really been used much in the first 6 rounds. He's playing against China, though.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Levon 4 out of 6. MVL 3.5 out of 6. Musichuk 50%, and yeah, Anish has 0.5 out of 3. So they are playing a bit more. At least MVL has played way more than Duda and Giri thus far.
Yeah, and Lev actually played every single game, which is, I think, we don't have to return to this every single time. But it's good to see him playing, and it's good that I assume after the disappointment of the first round, he was given an option, I guess, to have some rest, and I assume said no, and has since been more or less crushing. So that's good. Anish's struggles somehow continue, and with Gary as team captain, you really don't want to be underperforming, I feel.
We come back to that narrative you keep rolling out there, that Gary is very mean to the players not doing well behind the scenes. I'm not sure. Maybe. Anish, what has Gary said to you?
You would know better, yeah. I think on the specific Gary Anish dynamic, you probably have more insight than I do.
Not sure. I think on one side I have more insight, on the other you have more insight.
Yeah, that's true. But I did not get any specific info on that topic. And on the topic of people trying to refute the Grunfeld against Jan Nepomniachtchi, Vishy yesterday, I think that game was perhaps the most striking example in recent memory of a very strong player catching out another very strong player with something that just decides the game, not just gives him a good position or gives him a very good chance of winning, but just a case where more or less the final position is in your file, and it's a position where you don't need to do anything anymore. The game is just over. You don't see those games very often at all at this level. And Jan was very gracious. He published a tweet saying that obviously he is not very happy with how his day has gone, but he kind of takes his hat off for Vishy's marvelous opening preparation. And Hikaru today goes slightly in a different direction, going for the knight a4 Grunfeld, which I think is not supposed to give white very much, but again, somebody who hasn't repeated his notes for a while could be a decent choice for a surprise weapon for one game.
There's this funny line, I'm not sure, maybe they're going for this, where you go knight e3 here, and if takes. White has this not very pretty pawn structure. But back in the days, at least, black was still fighting for equality here.
Yeah, I think I gave something else in my videos because I wasn't entirely sure this is so
also
easily...
knight c6 here if we want to go with e5, but obviously you can also just play something more Grunfeldian like this.
I think I ended up recommending this, and this also. This is one of the cases where I felt like I'm not really deviating very much from the Avruch books, but that's mainly because Boris has done a lot of work, and in most cases, I would say, stuff he said is just generally correct. So.
Also, again, sidelines. If one solution works, why not give it?
Exactly.
You can watch Peter's Grunfeld video series on chess24.com, of course. Anyway, e5 has been played, de check, bishop d2, and queen e7 played by Nepomniachtchi. Not familiar with that one, I have to admit.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this is. I assume just knight f3, knight c6, and then somehow maybe even knight b6 in the current position, and eventually the pawn on e5 probably just falls, right? Yeah, this is what he's done. If queen c3, we just castle and then go rook e8 and knight takes e5. I can see this being fine for black.
Yeah, I guess white just develops as well, and life continues. Can we try to keep the pawn? Bishop b5.
Bishop d... Yeah, I guess we can. Although after bishop d7, it does feel like, the combined threats of knight takes e5 or bishop takes f3 if we trade probably equalize in the final count.
This works.
Yeah, I think it does. Hikaru goes with queen f4, which is curious because it kind of hints at maybe castles h4, but that feels, with almost no other pieces developed, it feels a little bit optimistic. There's also, I think we have to mention the fact that in particular against queen f4, rook a5 becomes a very viable second option.
It is our duty to mention that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Queen f6 exists as a reply, but I think if we want, we can even take and go rook f5. It looks slightly strange, but we do win the pawn back with a...
Also, white has not exactly developed so many pieces.
Yeah, it's an interesting game because it does appear as if both of them are reasonably happy with this position, and one of them probably is not exactly right. So
Nepomniachtchi has not given us a lot of reason to trust us yesterday, but he is generally well prepared, and that was
I think he when he pays cares enough to kind of stop and think and not just blitz without a care in the world. Well, there's a very sharp King's Indian in the Anand Rajabov game.
We should mention there are 12 games running at a time, which is a lot for rapid tournament, and we still haven't really figured out, or at least I feel that way, how to cover it best. Usually we go in with the intention to focus on one match like China, Europe, but then we also jump a lot to whatever.
Yeah, I
catches
think
the eye here.
we haven't gotten it down to exact science yet, but it's a very unusual experience with. I think the saving grace for us here, honestly, is that it is a bit of a slower, rapid time control. If this were a 15-10, I think like half of the action would have been missed at the very least.
Well, half of the action is still missed easily,
Yeah.
but we're bringing you all them nuggets.
Yeah. This is the bayonet, which I think in the late 90s was, I think the main protagonist of this with the white pieces was, I think, originally Vladimir Kramnik and the people around Vladimir Kramnik. I don't know how it's supposed to stand right now, because I think the King's Indians sort of half disappeared off the top level circuit, but also I'm not sure this is what people do these days against the King's Indian, although I don't know what the meta is. At some point, I think the meta was what I, for some reason, in my head always called the Tomaszewski King's Indian, the h3, d5, g3, knight h2, that weird system, which is quite clearly not named after Evgeny Tomaszewski, but in my head canon, was it? What I think it actually was 6h3, right? Just straight up h3 here. But that also
I'm not sure what we're talking about. What the critical line against the King's Indian is nowadays, or what are you guys?
Not critical exactly. What's the like the default thing people do these days? Like, what's the most popular in reasonably high level games?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, you don't play the King's Indian. Secondly, the bayonet is still considered a dangerous weapon. It's still debated in correspondence and these things. But there's also these new systems like h3 castles, bishop e3, which Fabi played recently against Firouzja.
H3 bishop g5 had its time in the sun. I even played it myself a couple of times, but
they don't
with varying success.
This is, of course, a popular choice. This is a popular choice, and you play the Samish. I feel like people don't go for the Samish straight up if they get this position. But since many guys play this against both the Grunfeld and the King's Indian, you get a bunch of Samishes. So,
Yeah, and
options.
Timur, it's actually very nice to see him playing the King's Indian here, because both he and Hikaru, who probably of the the very, very top players, were the two leading protagonists, so the two leading defenders of the King's Indian, so to speak. They both actually switched it for more or less exactly the same thing, for the ultra solid Queen's Gambit Declined, and to see him return to his roots here, so to speak, and go back to the King's Indian is quite nice. I don't know if his position is very good though. It's I've honestly, my experience in the King's Indian is so there's so little of it that I'm absolutely not calibrated to assess something like this on the fly. I have no idea how I'm supposed to think about this position. White is a pawn up. The pawn is already on a5, so the queenside progress is being made. And black plays purely for positional compensation. I don't think there's going to be any attack as such on the king's side. It's just that we are trying to force white to take that knight off the board. Then the bishop on g7 becomes very strong, and then we probably want to play f5 and to include the bishop on c8 in the game as well. But yeah, who is better and why here, I wouldn't have the first idea.
We'll find out. Vichy, of course, a veteran to the bayonet, his second relic. Wojtaszek had some important contributions here. So it's not much of a stretch to think that Vichy had a look before one of these World Championship matches. What do we have? Let's switch to the China-Europe match. The leading Chinese squad against the Europeans. Quiet position here. MVL continues exploring the Slav and Slav adjacent openings. This I've seen before. The question will be, can black simplify, or is it gonna be torture? Not sure what the answer is.
Yeah, even though we've been talking, it feels like more or less non-stop about that for the past 3 weeks, I'm still, every time I'm in kind of mild state of shock whenever I see MVL defend yet another slightly worse Slav position instead of the Grunfeld. Not that, you know, he always gets a very nice position in the Grunfeld, but yeah, just I do have to like shake my head a little bit, and then I realize it's 2020, and this is, you know, one of the portents of doom.
Yep. Levon Aronian playing with the white pieces against Wei Yi, and he's playing this line which people have been doing on and off. Was it Levon himself, the c3 queen e2? Bit of a sneaky move order against this popular bishop b5 g6 system, which is still the most popular move in this position in spite of Magnus's efforts to make h5 or e6 into a thing here.
That's a bit, you should have given me some time to catch my breath before mentioning h5.
I'm just messing around. I'm genuinely curious, but I've never looked. Okay, that's a lie, but I've never been able to remember what's happening in these lines. Looks fine for black, question mark, bishop pair, but white has space. Don't know, I'd still take white, bishop c3, knight d2.
Yeah, if we get bishop c3, knight bd2, you prefer white. I'm wondering if black should just instantly go in and try to trade that bishop. Is it white? It is. No, it's black to move.
It's black to move. Yeah, he started with castles, not bishop c3. So
yeah.
And Wei Yi went e6.
Did go e6. I was also wondering if just bishop g4, aiming to trade that bishop off as soon as possible, is not bad. But going for e6 and then I assume trying to play d5 as early as possible is also feels like it's quite sensible.
Wei Yi, it's a bit unfair that we kind of mention him as the former prodigy. He's still a top player, 2730 rated. He has not made the progress that people were hoping he would make between age 16 and 20, but he can still play and has been having a great tournament for China. Levon Aronian, we talked about, has a good score, 4 out of 6.
Yeah, and coming back a little bit to the previous topic, MVL is just seemingly a healthy pawn down by move 15 in yet another Slav. What is happening there? Why would he do this to himself? And I mean, sometimes these positions aren't that bad, but I'm pretty sure this is not one of those times. Pretty sure he is just a very healthy pawn down for not very much.
Sorry, I was distracted. My phone did stuff. Apologies to them viewers as well. Which game are we talking about?
MVL, just one up.
But are we still surprised MVL gets up prepared in his new Slavs?
No, well, okay. After Queen D2, perhaps there. I mean, there has to be a way here, right? I mean, I think 94 is still theory even. I have a feeling I've seen this before. 94, G4, and you hold that endgame. I'm fairly sure I've seen this. There were some games, I think, in the Russian clubs.
Why not take?
Also this, yeah, but... Yeah.
Anyway, he's played Queen to
No,
E7.
he just played Queen E7, and now he is just a pawn down for what exactly?
Did he miss bishop takes E5 maybe? Maybe he was assuming this would happen.
And then rook AG8 and some initiative, yeah.
I don't know, some pinnery, yeah.
Yeah.
This could be good.
So yeah, I mean, getting slightly out prepared in the Slav is one thing, but just going Queen E7, allowing knight D5, bishop B5, and now he's played bishop B4, so white will take, play F3, I mean, rook FD1, rook AC1.
This is more or less lost. Of course, you can put up a fight, but you're a clean pawn down against the bishop, pawns on both flanks. So yeah, it's lost, basically.
Yeah. This is why I saw this on my screen, and I stop myself midway because this does appear to be the breaking news of the round so far, considering how important this match is for Europe's overall chances. We are 20 minutes in, and yeah, your board one is just a healthy pawn down for no semblance of compensation.
Yeah. I think Maxime had a good tournament, actually. He has like 3.5 out of 6, no losses. But this will be a tough one against Ding.
Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't just absolutely assume Ding will convert this. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes Black, establishes some kind of a defensive wall, and
yeah, to have 20% equity out of the opening is not.
Yeah, it's not great. I just wanted to kind of hedge a little bit by saying that you still need to win this. And let's say if we imagine somehow, let's say, all 4 rooks coming off and the Black establishing some kind of a a6 knight on c6 setup, it will require some sweat from White, because normal weaknesses to be collected easily, and you probably do need to weaken your kingside position to win and so on. But yeah, not great for MVL out of the opening here. What else is going on? We've touched on Levon's game against Wei. I feel like it's quite concrete, but Wei probably has enough counterplay there. And Yuengi versus Duda is, I think, about to become very sharp, I want to say.
Yeah, it's deceptively quiet, but this can blow up any moment. E4, C5. It's an inherently sharp structure. When White gets E4 and Black doesn't have reaction, White can easily just be winning with his pawn running up the board. But Black will be ready for position opening up. What do? You don't want to go C5 yet, and move like Rook B8 to prepare for it?
That would be my first idea here. Just I think when White goes F3 in the structures, it's like waving a cloth in front of a bull a little bit in terms of the C5 break.
We've all learned in our Botvinnik schools that you meet F3 with C5 because now this pawn is weakened. But we can't do it yet because his bishop is hanging. Mm-hmm. Therefore.
And he started with A5, which is also very logical. White goes Rook B1 instantly, of course, and we can still go back to that plan here. There is also the option of a B5, and then just bring the knight over to C4. But you do occasionally just get mated on the king side while you're doing that, like E5, F4, and nobody really cares about your knight on C4 very much because there's just a crushing attack on the other side.
Yeah, this is very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Did you know that bulls actually can't tell colors? It was like a shocking blow to my worldview when somebody told me that ages ago, that the whole thing about waving specifically a red cloth in front of a bull is just some kind of a superstition, because they can't actually tell if it's red or not. They just don't like people waving things in front of their faces.
Yeah, I think I've been told that they react to the movement or whatever. But if there's any bullfighting experts out there, I would like to know more. Mr. Dodgy, in the meantime, is sending very mixed messages in the chat. First he said he would never come back to the show again. Now he's saying he's sending messages trying to get back to the show. Which one is it?
Yeah, also I want to congratulate Dodgy on... I got a message from Lorinda telling me to check out the replies to Mr. Dodgy invitational tweets. And I thought, okay, how bad can it be? But seriously, Dodgy mastered the art of, deadpan shitposting to such an extent that people actually respond to him as if he can ever be serious.
And it wasn't serious? I actually thought it's a good idea. I thought we should have the Mr. Dodgy Invitational. Suits, if you're watching. Can we find, like, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 to hold the Mr. Dodgy Invitational on chess24.com?
I think the tournament is a fantastic idea. I am very, with all of my, my entire being is in favor of this tournament being held. But people, very seriously inquiring exactly how the phone conversation between him and Magnus went in replies
Magnus hung up.
is just beautiful. It's I thought that was quite something, and somewhat amazingly, young Krzysztof actually goes for this position, the one that we have on our screen right now, without AB, but I assume he will take eventually because otherwise it makes no sense whatsoever.
Wow, Jan Krzysztof. It's a nice horse.
Yeah, it's a very pleasantly looking horse, but I think you get mated most of the time in these types of structures. Bishop d3, knight c2. Then again, I think he is basing this on specifically the idea of playing queen b6 and putting a lot of pressure on the white center. And the moves I suggested actually probably blunder away the b4 pawn, and then black at least has something to leave for. But I don't know. This looks to me like you're running disproportionate risks for the amount of gains you will make if this comes off.
Yeah, there's a lot of matushka potential here, as we say in Russian. This looks bad. Then again, Duda is not the type to just roll over and get checkmated.
No. Of course he will now proceed to put up a very spirited defense. Perhaps we'll find some ways to blow something up in the center. Although the structure is just so solid and the bishop on b7 so completely dead that I don't know. If white still had pawns on f2 and e3, yes, this is very much playable. But with the pawns on f4 and e5, you're playing with a great deal of fire if you do this.
How is Anna Musicuk representing Europe doing? Not to be confused with Maria Musicuk representing the rest of the world. Anna Musicuk playing Ju Wenjun, the women's world champion. But Anna Musicuk has been a top female player for many years. So this is just,
This is actually quite a topical line, and I think MVL played c3 in that position against Nepomniachtchi, right, and lost in 20 moves.
Yeah, he got the order a bit wrong.
Yeah, but Anna correctly doesn't try to keep the pawn on d4 alive. Goes dc, knight d2, knight f3, bishop d2. And also very cleverly, you can castle here, as she demonstrated. Bishop f4, knight d4 tactically. We win the e6 pawn back. But I don't think we're better here. Yeah, the rook takes f4 here is a tactical justification for it. But after bishop c7, I think queen e6 is completely empty. So I think she is very she's correct in taking with a knight. I guess black goes bishop b6, check, king h1, rook f e8. But then after rook a1, it's a strange position which could easily be better for white. Originally, I thought that, yeah, she's gone rook e8 first, but rook a1 is still the reply here. Maybe we go queen d6, though. Maybe this is kind of the point of saving on bishop b6 check. If white goes rook e1 here, we have the option of playing queen d6 and provoking g3, which also gives black an additional tempo to do something like rook e7, perhaps. So bishop b6 check and rook e7. It still looks very scary because you have to start calculating rook takes f6 on every move.
Amazing.
I don't know. Initially, I thought this must be completely fine for black, but the more I look at this, the more I think it's quite dangerous, and black at the very least needs to be quite precise. Maybe there's just no equality. I think it's quite possible there's just no equality anymore for black. Which would be great news, obviously, for Team Europe. If somebody were to score a full point on the women's board against China, it would change the dynamics quite a bit.
So winning this game would be good.
Winning this game would be excellent.
I'm reading, by the way, in the chat that our friends at Chessable have released a Magnus Carlsen course. Is that out already? I knew there was one in the making, but I'm not sure. Is it out? Someone tell me.
No.
People in chat. Current poll. You get your own invitational with prize money. Invites to? ? Depends how much prize money, no? Do you get 3 times? Or how much do you get? And I'm reading that the free preview course is out. Just one lesson. So check that out. chessable.com/Magnus. I hear it's free. But it's not the main course yet. There will be a main course. Mr. 12345 is asking, is Peter invited for Mr. Dodgy Invitational? I don't know. That's up to Mr. Dodgy.
Yeah, it's his tournament. I wouldn't want to presume. I think Duda will just get mated in 20 moves here somehow. This is very difficult for me to understand. Why would you do this to yourself?
He lacks chess culture. He did not go to the Botvinnik school like you and I.
No, but this bears a striking resemblance to that Anand Nepomniachtchi game. Now we go f6, g6. We go, I don't know, knight f5, and gf, bishop d3. How is that going to be not mate in the final? No, I think, yeah, gf is not good. But I mean g6, f6, g6, knight f5 was the line I was promoting. I don't know what the threat is, but knight h6 check, I guess, next move, and then something. And if you take, I think there has to be mate somewhere.
Yeah, looks very, very scary. And Yu Yangyi, he is not afraid of them tactics.
Not at all. And yeah, I don't think you need to do this, but it already, something like this looks like it might just be crushing.
I think it's Yu needs to do this grammatically.
Point taken.
Live on is better.
A tiny-ish bit, yeah, but I don't know. Queens are notoriously poor blockers, but we kind of lack the pieces to shift it away from d6 here. Bishop d2 b4 is the one idea we have, but the problem is bishop d2, we just lose the pawn on d5, so we can't even make that move. And if black gets to play 5 e4 and the bishop on g7 comes back to life, it's really, I think, not that bad.
Right, there are questions. Is Chess24 working on a new play zone? Yeah, there's work being done. I'm not sure about the status. I think there is an, what's it called, alpha version? I don't know how stuff works. But yeah, there is something happening.
Alpha version of what?
Of a new Chess24 play zone. Frankly, I do not know all that much about it, but there has certainly been stuff happening. There's a lot of talk about the Dodgy Invitational, but let's maybe continue looking around, get to some games we have not seen yet, like Artemiev Caruana.
Yeah, that was a bit of an offbeat. I mean, I don't know how much of an offbeat opening London is, but I haven't seen this.
It's not the London. This is the
nonsense.
Trump, yeah. I'm not sure it has a name. Artur Yusupov played it a little bit in the 90s. Then Kramnik had like a game or two here from the white side. But generally, knight e4, black is just supposed to be fine. Therefore, it never really caught on this move order. So bishop f4, Caruana goes bishop f5, c5 can get sharper. I think that's what I've been recommending. But bishop f5, of course, perfectly sensible. And we get some structure. Looks like black is fine now. The knight on d6.
Yeah, I don't think. No, I don't think there's. And somewhat remarkably, I didn't even realize that Fabi castle queenside, because in the current position the king is already on g7, which kind of gives you a decent indication of how slow White's quote-unquote attack is here. If Fabi felt he had enough time to just walk the king all the way over to g7.
He does like his walks. There comes the king. Such a show-off. He went to f6.
Yeah, that is actually
just for show.
That is actually showing off a little bit for sure. Yeah, no, should be very close to equal. I suspect if anybody is better, it's probably black. Question mark, but honestly, nobody is better, I think. And also, if white takes on b5, I think the structure is so rigid for both sides, so that it just equalizes on the spot.
Where's Alireza? Is he winning? Losing?
Alireza looks like he has structurally very nice attacking chances on the king side, but he did give up the pawn on a2.
He has fewer pawns.
Yeah, he has fewer pawns, so he has something to prove here. And the kingside situation for black in these types of structures is a lot more solid than it looks, because you always have the bishop g6/knight g6 setups to protect the somewhat vulnerable looking pawn on g7. So yeah, I don't quite see how we're organizing an attack on the dark squares here for white. There has to be compensation, but not sure where to even start.
Vidit, who has had a rough time, he has half out of 4. Although it has to be said, if you look at his opponents, it does not look all that horrible. Who did he play? He played like Aronian, Caruana, other strong players.
That still sounds a bit harsh to Vidit, because he is a very strong player in his own right, and I'm pretty sure he's unhappy about the score.
Yeah, I didn't say half out of 4 is great, but he played Caruana, Aronian, Wang Hao, Alireza, and somebody else. So
yeah, this tournament is strong. This tournament is definitely very, very strong. I'm currently trying to calculate if I can play knight takes d3 here, but I suspect it's just completely unnecessary. It's a funny move, though. It's it's mildly amusing to calculate. But there's just so many intermediate moves I can try. Queen d3 rook a d8 was my point. Well, what passes for a point around these parts.
Stuff.
And here I think I actually win quite a lot of material back, but instead of queen takes d3, you can include bishop h6, you can include moves like rook a3 and then knight d4. No, rook a3, knight takes c1 is actually very strong, but bishop h6 definitely is an important detail that you need to calculate. We do have bishop g6 in reply, so currently, honestly, I think the move might be possible, the knight take d3 shot.
Vidit's not going to do it. He's too punch drunk with his score. He's going to play it safe if there is an alternative. Like to gamble calculations against Alireza here. Too risky.
Yeah,
complications of it.
But that's a very good point, because I think it's just not required, to be honest. I think something like queen a5 or maybe knight g6 or something is. Although then white starts jumping, then you have to start calculating some knight d4 b5 ideas. I think the point of knight e2 here is that Alireza is, in particular, he wants to play something like knight d4, creating a threat of rook a3, and then this queen on a2 will actually start feeling very, very shaky. And this is what attracted me to the idea of going knight takes d3, is that we just destroy the white structure, and if it works out tactically, it might just sort of conclude the game in our favor.
We shall see.
But yeah, you do need to trust your calculations quite a bit to make a move like that against Alireza, and this is where Vidit's current tournament standings do come into play, because even the most confident young man's play will be impacted by losing some games in a row. Also, I'm not sure it works. I am still really not at all sure it works out for black all that well.
All right, let's look at some non-Alireza games. What's the scores?
Yeah, let me check what's
it's all zeros. 0, 0, 0. This feels like analyzing with stockfish.
Round 7. So far, not a single game concluded. Which
Kayakin, but that's gonna be a draw. I haven't even seen the position yet.
Yeah. Would you say, like, let's say if this pawn was, if the b pawns weren't doubled, if the structure was, let's say, a6, b6, would you say black is slightly better, or it's still completely equal?
If what wasn't doubled?
Let's say the structure on the queen side for black was a6, b6, or a7, b6, or a6, b7. Some not double, no double b pawns.
But I like the double b pawns. They fit my overall a pawns are not real people theory, because a pawns can only cover into one direction, while a b pawn controls two squares, both of them. So I'm pro double b pawns. I do not think that makes the black position worse here, and I think it's equal because we have bishops. I'm a martial player. I'm normally a pawn down. Of course, white has a sound structure and all that, but yeah, I think it's equal. Pawn on a6 or b6.
Okay. Yeah, and Vidit ended up not taking up the gauntlet there as we sort of expected. I think you were correct in thinking that takes d3 or anything particularly tactically forcing there was unlikely.
Yeah, he's going back with the queen, and the people want to see the dude, or as you like to call him, Jan Krzysztof.
Yeah, Jan Krzysztof actually gave up some material to at least create some play on the king side, on the queen side, but yeah, I still feel this has to be mate. A b knight b4, and after rook b4, if you have to play rook a3 here, it's probably not the most confidence-inspiring thing in the
Why
world.
did he
Here,
take the rook?
Bishop h6, I guess, is some kind of mate, right? Bishop takes g7. Yeah, it just doesn't end well.
How do we do this? FG?
FG and a6, and yeah, these things normally just collapse. Like, there's so many pieces now on the queen side not participating in the defense that. Yeah, and Yuangi played knight g4 there after rook a3. My guess is bishop takes b4 loses to all the same things all over again. You can take on c3 here, but to at least to distract one of white's attacking pieces from the king side. But even there, I have a feeling takes bishop h6 is probably close to winning by force. Yeah, all the same tactics probably work just as well here as they were a move ago. Don't really foresee any change. It would be, honestly, it would be a bit upsetting if it turned out that you can play like this at this level. Because they're,
Yeah, also not a real surprise, as we explained here. You gotta try to blow the center open before you get steamrollered, and just putting the knight on c4 really is not enough compensation.
Spending 3 tempi on doing this, and also, notably, in process, just completely destroying any chance you ever had of playing c6, c5, which means that the white center is absolutely safe for the foreseeable. Yeah, that should generally get punished, and I think it's going to get punished in this match.
GM Aryan is saying, when will we see Jan Invitational or Mr. Dodgy Invitational? Have you been living under a rock, GM Aryan? The chat has been talking about the Mr. Dodgy Invitational all day, as has been all of Twitter. It's trending on German Twitter. Like, I get trends, Mr. Dodgy Invitational, Corona, Mehrwertsteuer, Drosten. Those are the trends in that order. What's trending in Russia?
There was something about the Russian government, but it disappeared, and it now apparently is little big. Just the word girl, COVID-19, somebody named Salvatore who is following everybody. I don't know why he's doing that. I would suggest not doing that. It's not healthy. And in Russia, apparently. Very vanilla. None of that kind of makes me want to click on it.
I don't know. The girl thing caught my attention.
I can see how that would be true, but Yeah, and I think actually in the Jingliren game, now that you've clicked on it, it feels like we are kind of nearing one of those situations I was describing, yeah, where you can definitely start seeing the outlines of white not winning this game. Because black will now and h5 is very clever by MVL, creating a threat of h4, queen g3, queen e1, and the queen already cannot leave the long diagonal because then knight f3 check, gf, queen f2 will be an immediate perpetual. I have a feeling he might get away with it. Bishop a7 is not just a pawn. Of course, he wants to go h4, bishop b8. Maybe it still wins. Maybe this will be a bit annoying to MVL if, after all that, he still doesn't save the game, because it feels to me like he was given.
After all, what? After his dad lost after the opening, and then he still puts up a fight, and it.
No, I think it probably would feel to him like he came extremely close to just drawing a game by force somewhere.
Do you think Gary, as his team captain, he screams at the screen in the opening? Because Gary, of course, a man who puts tremendous importance on the opening, but then he sees MVL fighting back and saving the game, and he's thinking, "You rascal! I doubted you again."
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how this would have played out in regards to this game in particular. And I think it's I wouldn't really want to guess any of that, but I think if we take Maxim's game today and Duda's game today, I think Gary probably would be more annoyed by Duda's game today than this one. Because here it appears there was just some kind of a weird one-move miscalculation, and
the usual not knowing the opening, or the not the usual, but they sometimes happening.
Yeah, and young Krzysztof seemingly just went for a strategically lost position where that did not seem to be in any way forced.
Peter, Mr. Dodgy is asking indirectly if you want to play in the Mr. Dodgy Invitational.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Yes, please.
There you go. Oh, I forgot to read out the no prices part.
Still.
There you go. Yu Yang Yi.
Are we missing something here after e6? I can't figure out how we continue. Maybe queen d4, ef, king h7, and after queen h3 there is queen takes c3? But that should still be mate, right? There's bishop e3, queen h6 mate in the end of that line. Maybe he's choosing between this and queen f3 right now, which also looks like it should be close to mate. Or even knight e4, which looks like it's close to mate. Pretty much all the normal moves white can make in this position look like they're very close to mate. And he also has 12 minutes.
Yep, does not look great. Do we have any results? Still no results other than
not so far.
One draw. Corona Artemiev.
Yeah, that's not unexpected.
I'm being told, go to the Hare Krishna game. And why not? He's playing Khokhikori. Khokhikori representing the rest of the world. Hare Krishna representing India. And he just gave a check.
Yeah, but black does appear to have at least two possible replies to it.
I would say that's true if we're counting good moves. H5, queen g7. Yeah,
it looks like white could have something concrete, but I don't see it yet. Queen h4 here, though. This is kind of scary. Queen h4, threats of knight f6 and knight h6 could actually be close to / winning. Yeah, maybe this is better. h6, h5, queen g7 here, because we will have at least an option of trading queens. Oh, hang on. No. King h8, knight takes e5. This is very cute.
Very cute.
That's not something you see very often.
Overloadovich,
yeah, with 3 possible, and he played king h8.
Wow. Yep. Hurry!
Harry not missing this shot, I'm pretty sure. And queen g7, knight takes g6 to kind of rub, add insult to injury. And yeah, knight takes e5 takes Harry. I mean, but if black thinks after queen h6 check, the white player has plenty of time to calculate king h8, knight takes e5 in his own sweet time.
But I'm reading that it was already winning after queen h6 check.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like that, but you still choose king g8, I feel, to,
Yeah, you spot 95, you go for the other one. That is a nice shot.
Yeah, it is a very beautiful position, and queen g7, knight g6. Maybe there's a slight probability he saw this and thought, okay, I will play queen g7, and yes, the position is bad, but I can still continue. And now he realizes he loses everything even then. So seemingly he resigned, judging by the fact that the game disappeared off our screen there.
Yeah, understandably. We have not covered much of this heavyweight encounter. In USA versus Russia, Nakamura against Nepomniachtchi. Nakamura is better. How much, though, with this king here? I don't know.
Probably not a ton, but yeah, the fact that black got left with those b pawns means that even some rook endgames are at least not immediately drawn. So yeah, he will have to pay attention, and he's also quite clearly not doing very well. So far he drew MVL in round 1, and then apart from that victory against Rajabov in the Queen's Gambit decline that everybody seems to be playing, he lost every single game. Lost to Hikaru, lost to Ding Liren, and then yesterday he lost to both Vichy and MVL. Not Jan's tournament so far.
Nope. What have we not seen? Goryachkina for Russia on the women's board, playing Arena Crush, who's had a good tournament thus far, is 2 out of 4 at 50%, even though she's usually outrated in these matchups. So Crush doing pretty well here. And in this game, looks like she's hanging in there as well, no?
Yeah, I don't even think she's worse, to be honest. Like you probably need to take.
I was wondering if e6 could be awkward. If not,
I stopped myself mid-sentence there. Yeah, and e6 is Goryachkina's choice, and yeah, it makes perfect sense because you need to at least discomfit black slightly. I guess bishop e7 is the most critical reply, because we absolutely have to include the king in the game somehow, and nothing else that really seems to fit the bill. Yeah, and just start running towards e8. The curious thing is, even if it gets to e8, I'm not even sure that does very much. So maybe white has enough time to play, I don't know, f4 and start getting his king towards the center as well. Strange position.
I'm also reading that Rajabov blundered. Did he? What's going on here?
He just played rook a2, and if people are calling it a blunder, I guess g3 is strong somehow? I don't know.
Why blunder?
Yeah, not obvious to me that this is so horrible. He was still a pawn down, and white did manage to kind of stabilize and trade off the light squared bishop, but instead of rook a2, there were probably other moves. Like rook a6 comes to mind, but maybe g3 is quite strong even against that. Yeah, very, very difficult position to figure out. g3 played. The issue for me is that I don't quite understand why we can't just take on g3, queen f7, queen g7. Why is that so horrible?
Why? I don't know. Check queen g6.
Yeah, and then I'm stuck. This is where I so far was not able to make much progress. Yeah, maybe it's queen d7, and after queen g7, the queen is not hanging anymore. Yeah, so we can go knight takes g3. Probably even specifically knight takes g3. Rook f2 though, because knight f2, knight f5, rook h2
playing
is
this,
still made.
but this is a problem indeed. Yeah.
This is still made despite the fact that the queen on g7 is pinned. It doesn't make king g1 a legal move. Maybe rook g1 is winning. No? Maybe somehow.
Still no threats.
Yeah. No, I think the computer has probably suggested it's a poor move, but for me, I still don't know why.
Vishy, good event. Has not lost a game. Obviously had that big victory yesterday, but the Indian team has still been struggling because both Vidit and Adiban have been somewhat outmatched on the lower open boards, and I'm reading that Vidit has bungled it. He went for this slow return.
Vidit is now worse.
But allowed rook f6.
Yeah, this is not going to be a pleasant endgame for him for sure. I don't know if it's already just absolutely horrible or just slightly worse, but this is the dream for white. The bishop on b2 is very strong. Black also broke up his own structure by playing queen d6 and allowing queen d6 cd, so there's additional weaknesses to be playing against.
Yep. Also, hot take, Ali Reza is excellent in these somewhat simplified technical positions, especially if he's slightly better, so this will be tough for Vidit. Duda has lost.
Yeah.
In the meantime, how's that checkmating? We go f8 or knight e6. Knight e6.
That's knight e6 and queen somewhere. h4.
Yeah. This was not horrible either, but really zero need. Ah, no, actually it is horrible. No.
Yeah, mate into his checks generally is.
It's a good option. And
not the worst idea in the world, yeah.
So Duda goes down after he had that draw against Kayaki in last round. Let's see where the action is now.
Whoa, the left game against Fei is now some kind of a very sharp 4 rook endgame. With Wei playing basically on increment and Lev on 11 minutes still, which is, I think in this endgame this is not insignificant because it's a tricky position to play or figure out. I guess it probably should be a draw because the rooks on a3 and b3 are extremely strong and the pawns will not be running all that fast, and the king is quite safe on the g7, h6 squares. But yeah, you definitely would want to have more than 24 seconds here against Lev.
Like 28?
At least 28, yeah.
28 seconds later. Vishy? Is Vishy winning? Sorry for all the jumping, but there's so much action.
Vishy does appear to be at least close to winning, and maybe just winning outright. King g7, rook b7.
Yeah, Rajabov had a tweet the other day that he was not fully used to the time control yet, and that he was playing more like if it was a classical games, which maybe meant he was too slow in the end. And went back to maybe trying to have some more fun in the King's Indian. But of course Vishy does know his openings and is having a great event. This looks winning, no?
Yeah, I don't think you save this. Just knight d5, rook c6, rook c7.
d5 is his idea, or what's going on?
Yeah, that probably also wins, but I think there's absolutely no need for it. I think starting with knight d5, we just get an endgame with 2 pawns up, which isn't even technically difficult in any way.
It's technically reasonable.
Yeah, I think knight d5 f4, and then your opponent shakes your hand. Well, not in these troubled times. But
also, they're not sitting in hand shaking distance.
True that.
Hikaru is trying to make some progress in this rook endgame. Should be a draw, but it's never fun with a passive rook.
Yeah.
The double pawns, like stranger things have been lost.
As mentioned, because of the b7, b6 pawns, simplifying into this endgame and playing it forever is definitely something that makes a lot of practical sense, at least, because Jan is not going to enjoy just sitting there and, you know, defending passively for yet another game. Not what he would have wanted out of the game, although has to be holdable.
So nice to play with white, though. You know.
Yeah. No, and of course you enjoy this on the white side of it. You very much enjoy this. You know, a solid actual advantage for absolutely for free. So, what's not to like? A lot at stake in that Aronian Wei game, by the way, because the other two games have been drawn. Yuan Gi, who is on a bit of a roll in this tournament, 5.5 out of 7 against very, very strong opposition. And Lev basically has to beat Wei for Europe to get away with the draw.
India crushes the rest of the world. So even if Vidit were to lose this, India scores the victory there. Both India and the rest of the world pretty out of contention when it comes to securing a spot in that final, though. So the Europe match is important. Every point matters between Europe, Russia and USA. China seems pretty safe. Therefore, maybe we should keep a close eye on Dr. Levon.
Yeah, and the pawn is already on a7, actually, but Wei Yi is now creating genuine threats of his own. He might be better for all we know because of just how strong the Rook A3, Rook A1 mate threat is.
Ain't gonna be able to win it. Rook A2, Rook A1.
Yeah, that loses a rook. Well, not a full rook because you do have A8 in the end, but you probably lose.
We probably lose.
Yeah, King G4. I think we most assuredly lose this. This might be Rook takes H4 played by Lev. That's his point. That is very clever.
That's beautiful.
Dr. Levon. Dr. Levon with a draw, but that is not enough to save the match for Europe because there's Rook takes A7 here. Yeah, but
this draws.
Yeah, this obviously holds comfortably, but yeah, that's a very, very beautiful saving shot from Levon, which I suspect he had seen before even going for this position.
PewDiePie said it, Basil, saying Russia is Europe since they play in Euro 2020. I would argue Russia is also rest of the world.
Yeah.
Even though rest of the world, maybe not. Because Russia is already playing, so it's probably the rest of the world, the non-playing teams.
Yep. So China continues winning. Only one match drawn so far. That was against. Should know. China drew against. Actually, Russia in round 3 when Ding has beaten Nepomniachtchi, but Artemiev absolutely destroyed Wei Yi with the white pieces in a miniature. And that so far is the only point Team China dropped in this tournament.
That's pretty impressive, but yeah. I do not think Yu Yangyi, just rating-wise, was supposed to score 5.5 out of 7. On board 3, board 4, of course they're very, very strong. Ding Liren is also not really a weakness. He's not going to lose a lot of games. Where he's been doing well. So yeah, just great team performance by the Chinese squad.
Yeah, and that result opens up a huge gap at the top. China now will have 13. Europe stays on 9. If the US wins, which is... We should actually go to the US-Russia because there are still seemingly 2 games running there. The Rook ending in Nakamura and Nepomniachtchi, and also Karyakin, I think, is maybe ever so slightly better against Wesley, but Probably not, actually.
Let's go there just to clarify. The teams are playing a double round robin, I think it's called. So 10 matches, and after that, the top 2 finishers are playing a final, and the winner takes it all. So China's pretty much in. And the question is, who else?
Yeah. Jan is now under severe pressure here. I think king takes h5, b5 probably just loses. At least so it seems to me. Maybe rook c5, king takes f6, king g4 or something, but that looks very, very shaky. So he goes rook c4 first. Hikaru still plays b5.
Looks bad.
Yeah, maybe now we switch to something like rook b4 and hope to hold this way. Maybe it is. Maybe it is fine.
How fine can it be? King f6, rook e4, we go rook d6.
Yeah, that's on the board. And now, yeah, rook d6. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I may have been a little bit too hasty. This looks lost.
The king's so far away. He played rook e5.
I like that less somehow, but this could also, because I think now black maybe can establish some kind of a defensive setup with the rook on the c file, and maybe you never get back the idea of going rook e6, rook b6, but maybe you do.
We can always do it, no? Even right here, right now.
Pretty much, yeah. But I still thought your rook d6 was a very, very clean solution. I just, with the king so far away from where the action will be, I just couldn't see how black ever holds that. But yeah, rook e5 shouldn't really spoil anything. Yeah, and if Hikaru wins this, Karyakin would need to win what appears to be a perfectly safe for him, but also a perfectly safe for Wesley rook ending. So it seems like Russia is losing, and that would mean that for our standings, China's on 13, US and Europe will be on 9, and nobody else, on current standings and current form really has a shot. So it becomes a 2-horse race for the right to play China in the superfinals.
Yeah. Who's your favorite in the 2-horse race?
I think I have to go with the States. I think the States have been the most solid of the two teams in the running there. Maybe Europe is slightly stronger on board 4, but the US lineup on the top 3 boards is probably a bit stronger, and also I think a lot less volatile. I think MVL has been quite hit and miss here, and Lev would need to continue crushing somehow for Europe to outscore the US. I also don't know what the tie breaks are. Europe currently is ahead of the US on board points. If that's the first tie break, that obviously improves the situation for Europe, allowing them to tie with the US, at least on if you look at the current situation. Are they? I assume they're yet to play each other, right? Yeah, they play each other in round 9. So that probably will be the deciding encounter. First round tomorrow.
So today we get Russia versus China, Europe versus India, and the rest of the world versus the US and A. Then tomorrow there's the rest of the world: Russia, USA, Europe, India against China. And last not least, we have these. Followed by the big final. All right.
Have we established what happens in the superfinal?
No. I don't know what do you mean by established, but if you mean, have we read the rules? I can only speak for myself. Nope, I have no idea.
I tried finding the rules and obviously did not try hard enough because I'm sure the regulations are published somewhere and I should have been able to find them. But yeah, let me try to do that again. Logic dictates it should be a double header there, right? Because of how the colors stack up. But
does it? How do you count it then? I thought it's just one match, but I also do not know.
Yeah, that's yeah. 2 matches probably creates a little bit of a logistical nightmare in terms of what happens if you win the first one, lose the second one, and so on. Alireza does convert in his game against Vidit, so Vidit's struggles continue, but at least I think he'll be quite a bit cheered up by the fact that this loss won't really change the result of the match, and India wins.
I'm sure he's thrilled. Nakamura won, if I saw this correctly.
Yeah. But from a certain point on, it really looked like there's very little technique required. All the hard work has by that point already been done by Hikaru. So yeah, Jan is, I guess, the one player who is having an absolute nightmare of the top players in this tournament, and it does feature 8 of the current world top 10. That would be.
Could you explain who's not playing and why?
I think of the top 10, the only 2 people I'm missing are Magnus and Sasha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Magnus's non-playing has become a bit of a thing. There's been some Twitter exchanges which were, I want to say, enjoyable for the neutral spectators. Although it's of course a blow to the tournament that he's not playing, so not that enjoyable from that viewpoint. But waking up to some chess Twitter drama is always these days something to look forward to. As for Sasha, if and when we get him on, we could ask him personally.
Will we get him on?
Eventually, I'm pretty sure he'll be on, yeah.
All right. What's the last game? It's Wesley So against Kayaki. Is that still going, or have they?
I think this one is still going on, but
also
I think
Wesley's better, no?
Yeah, Wesley is absolutely risk-free, which is, I think, the important bit, because Hikaru has won and Kayaki needs to win this to save the match. So I think he draws it very, very comfortably, never ever loses this. Not just because he is Sergei Kayaki, but also because the position, I think, is completely drawn. But that's not what he needs. And yeah, Wesley just makes sure that nothing will ever happen here by trading everything. Taking on b4, taking on g6. And then draw can safely be agreed. 2.5 for the US. 2.5, 1.5 for the US. Apologies. And apparently this was Alireza's first victory in the tournament. I was not aware of that little statistic. So he wins one at the 7th time of asking, and is now on 3 out of 7. Hasn't
also
been doing
completely
so
useless victory, Alireza. No offense.
Yeah, what are you doing? Not in step with the rest of the squad.
What's them standings is being asked. Let me bring up them standings here. You see them results, and the Chinese squad has been crushing it with an all-around great performance by Ding Liren and Wei Yi, Yu Yingyi, Zhou Wenjun, and Hu Yifan. Do they even have a fourth player on the open boards? It seems like it's always been these three dudes, no?
Yeah, let me check. But yeah, it does feel like it's just them. No, there's also Hao, right?
Wang Hao is playing, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hao is playing. And that narrative I tried suggesting about Europe having more board points, that was true and prior to this round. But now that they have lost and the US have won, they are on exactly the same match points and exactly the same board points. So not a lot to tell between those two. And as mentioned, they do play each other in the first round of tomorrow doubleheader. And yeah, that will be of paramount importance. You feel that if somebody wins that, that squad probably qualifies for the super final. And in case of 2-2, it will come down to the wire.
Yep. This show is, of course, America's broadcast, so we might be a little biased. Then again, our friend Anish Giri is on the European team, so if he plays, then maybe the coverage will be somewhat less biased.
So as usual, we now have about a half an hour break to look forward to, so we should take an executive decision on what we're doing with our lives while that is going on.
All right, let's make decisions. We shall tell you guys out there to challenge Paul Borta, either for now or for later, because Peter will also do a banter blitz once the round is over on good old Chess 24. But I don't know how you feel, but I have nothing left to say. We've been doing 16 days of commentary on the Carlsen Invitational. Now, a couple days here. I'm out of words, of topics. Have you been watching, I don't know, television? What's going on in your life? Do you have stories?
Stories. Yeah, stories on demand is absolutely my favorite thing ever.
Do you have TV shows? That's maybe easier than stories.
Yeah, I did finish BoJack season 6. I don't know, what was your opinion on that? Because I've been asked in chat over the past couple of days. I think I even answered that question, but I don't think you were on air when I was asked that. So I don't know if we compared notes on BoJack season 6.
I have to admit, I'm not sure that's BoJack's fault or mainly my inability to focus on anything for more than 3 minutes at a time, that I found it very hard to watch it while paying close attention, which probably means I didn't find it as gripping as some of the earlier seasons where I think I was able to pull that off. Then in the end, I got a little confused about all the death stuff. It was a little over my head. I'm still a big BoJack fan, and I think the writing is
yeah. I thought it was good, but I also
didn't do it for me somehow.
I thought it was weaker than some of the previous seasons, maybe all of the previous seasons, frankly.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it didn't feel like they. I think they knew that the run is ending, and it felt to me like they didn't really cop out with anything, which is like the big scary thing to look forward to whenever any show is ending. That they will try to absolutely artificially just tie all the strings and end all the arcs somehow. It felt like it ended somewhat how it was supposed to end, very ambiguously, without any pretense that anyone is happy and
it's like this show
and well adjusted or anything like that. But yeah, I don't think it was their strongest season.
Yeah, also I understand that was a purposeful choice. They kept getting darker and darker, but I missed, the light touches, the Mr. Peanut Butter game shows, celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things?
Yeah,
I felt like there wasn't enough light to keep the dumber viewers like myself engaged all the time.
Yeah, and Of the things I've seen in chat, there was a question on why the top chess players are generally so standoffish when communicating with fans. I honestly think that's not true.
What's standoffish?
Aloof. Is that any better? Not, you know, for kind of refusing autographs, refusing pictures. I haven't seen that very much. I think it happens occasionally in extremely high pressure situations, in particular, like during the World Rapid and Blitz, when you play like 11 rounds of Blitz in one day, and there are very short breaks between games. And when Magnus plays, obviously everybody wants to get close to Magnus, to take a picture, to ask for an autograph, and he does take those tournaments extremely seriously. So he would be a little bit less approachable than he normally is. But that also applies to everybody else in the tournament, frankly. And those are just very, very difficult. But when, you know, play is finished for the day, I haven't seen, frankly, any of the top players just flat out deny to interact with fans.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's an important distinction. Before the game, people are just very focused. If you're at a classical tournament and people are coming to the game, even if it's 10 minutes earlier and even if they're in conversations with a second or whatever, usually people are very, very focused on that game. I don't know. It's hard to speak for people. I can imagine for a Magnus Carlsen, if he's had a long day at a World Rapid and Blitz, and then there is a crowd of 100 people waiting for pictures and to have a chat, that's hard to give everybody that much attention if you want to go to have dinner and prepare and all that. But overall, I would say it's a pretty nice guy generation of top chess players, no? So I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I thought in particular, yeah, when you take the current crop are, in my experience, have always been very very open to interacting with people who show up to watch them play. There's also, I think the news are out, so we are now potentially. I mean, you're the boss here, so you tell me if I'm wrong. But there's been mentions in chat, which appears that the news probably are out on the topic of the new big online event on Chess24. So
what's that?
Maybe there's this thing called the Steinitz Memorial.
Yeah, that's. I don't know all that much. You're playing, no? It's a Blitz tournament, I think. It's a FIDE thing that's being hosted on Chess24. Yeah, I don't know very much. 3 days? 10 players?
It's 3 days. I think it's a double round robin.
Open section. Are you playing? Magnus is playing? Grishuk is playing?
Yeah, I think the lineup is very strong, apart from the one fish you keep on drawing attention to. But it's, I think, Magnus, Sasha, there's Shahryar is playing. We haven't seen Shahryar in action this year, seemingly. So he is obviously a nice addition to the field. I think Jeffrey Shong is playing, which should be very exciting. I can probably actually find the entire list.
But I think it's easier to remember if you just think of it as everybody that's not playing in this FIDE-chess.com Online Nations Cup is playing in the other one. They're spreading the love around.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a very strong women's event running alongside it with Ekaterina Lakhno and many others. Just as you mentioned, yeah, not featured in this one. So yeah, we have that to look forward to.
That can be a coincidence, no? Like that was at least my first thought when I saw the lineup. It's a striking lack of overlap with this very tournament.
Yep.
Yeah, that's happening. When does it start? 15th of.
Yeah, I think it's 15th till 17th, so very very soon.
Another question is, and the most important question, will we have one free day to enjoy, you know, some TV?
One free day? Why one? What are you doing between the end of this and the start of the Steinitz?
I don't know. I have probably work stuff. But yeah, maybe. There's actually, there's like 4 days between that. 5.
No, for me, I was wondering because
It
for
might
me,
be.
for me, it actually is one. Because there's the charity blitz thing that Vladimir Kramnik is organizing, which will run, I think, 12th to 14th.
Am I covering that? I'm probably not covering that. Am I talking to myself here?
I don't entirely know, but it's
There's also rumors that after the Steinitz, there might be more events happening. So, the chess world has plenty of chess to watch in these difficult times for all of us.
yeah, May does appear suddenly to be kind of action packed and full of very high profile chess to watch and enjoy, which is a good thing, obviously.
Yep. What were we talking about? BoJack Horseman,
Yeah,
upcoming
BoJack,
tournaments.
basically.
Those are the important topics, right? Chat
Those
boys.
are the pressing questions of the day.
If you have questions for 8-time Russian champion Peter Svidler, feel free, because as mentioned, I lost my mojo somewhere in the 80s. I got nothing.
Can I talk about Karpov?
Please talk about Karpov.
Yeah, I can, Tim Billy, but could you be more specific?
I thought you asked to talk about Karpov.
Yeah, no, no, that was I saw a question in chat, but like Karpov is a legend, but I would like to have a little bit more input on exactly which facet of his.
I'll give you a
career.
hot take so that you can then say no, he was pretty good at all areas of the game. Karpov, overrated positional player, underrated tactician.
Definitely agree with the second one. Don't really agree with the first one.
Nah, come on. His understanding of the Carlsbad structure. Ugh. Ugh. In general, he always played these cramped, horrible Spanish positions, which you could blame on opening preparation, but I don't think that's true. He had all the machinery of the best Soviet players, or, well, not the best, all of them, but many great helpers. Still, he, ended up in some dodgy strategic situations a lot and used his tactical prowess to get out of there.
Yeah,
That's my hot take.
Yeah, the tactical prowess thing is absolutely correct, and that's generally just how people get pigeonholed. And like, I think I had the what passes for a rant on the topic of Petrosian being considered a boring kind of stolid.
No, you just disagreed with him being a chicken, although he is firmly an honorary president of the chicken chess.
Yeah, but that was, I think, in large part based on the fact that he was an absolutely brilliant tactician, which I think at least people who are only acquainted with his play on a very surface level kind of ignore and.
No, I think that's established. It's about the chickenness. But yeah, that's my point about Karpov too. He's considered this, positional, one square moves type of dude. Tactics dude. Very concrete player.
Yeah, and there was a clarification to the initial question. What was his role in like what his influence on Russian chess? He was a very once again, that's probably not what the question is asking, but he was a very, very influential figure in terms of, let's say, Russian chess politics. He was a very powerful figure for a very long time, and he also, I'm sure, was an inspiration to, great many up and coming Russian players. And when I was growing up, like kids my age were very firmly separated into two camps: people who idolize Kasparov and people who idolize Karpov, because that was the overarching thing our childhood was.
So that's your Bloods and Crips.
Yeah, and those were kind of, in terms of numbers, those were pretty equal factions. It's not like there was an instant bias in favor of Kasparov, for instance, or Karpov. So yeah, no, I think he is a legend of the game, and also there is a mention that I somehow omitted him from my top 5 if we don't count Kasparov, Fischer, or Carlsen list, which obviously people already objected when I made that list, and apparently people have long memories on this topic. Yeah, he is probably the one omission that I kind of regret the most.
So who would you kick out in favor of Karpov?
But yeah, that's the point. I don't know. And I thought your conversation with Magnus on air on the Anand versus Kramnik topic, I never really thought of it. Like, in my mind, they don't fight for that one remaining spot on some list. For me, they both are absolute giants of the game. But
yeah, but we don't have to hatch everything with they're all great players. That's not the question. Obviously, they are. That's why these conversations.
Yeah,
are
but
fun.
honestly, I thought about it listening to you, and I thought, yeah, if you have to choose one, it has to be Vichy. So
yeah, as I said, I consider 2008 the tiebreaker. That's not personal preference. I grew up idolizing Kramnik, his chess style, his approach in general. I've always been a giant Kramnik fanboy. But yeah, like legacy-wise, to me, 2008 is sort of the tiebreaker because it feels very close.
And then the list would be, I think people would be less upset at the, let's say, Talalekhin, Vichy, Karpov, and Kappa list than the one I produced when I was put on that spot the previous time. But there would still be fans of other players who would feel they were hard done by, I'm sure.
Don G wants to know, were Keres and Korchnoi the best to never become world champion?
Yeah, that's also an interesting list. Like Keres, Korchnoi, Stein, I guess, makes it on many of those lists.
Oh, you're such a hipster. Stein.
I am a bit of a hipster in that respect, yeah. But this is like, once again, I can't pretend.
The great Ruben Fine.
Yeah, Vasily Mikhailovich would be.
I don't even know who that is.
You do.
Vasily.
He is now Vasil on the list, actually.
Ivanchuk.
Yeah, he got the name change on the list. To the.
I never get these lists. To me, it's like Caruana, Ding Liren, Maxim Vashila, Graf. Who else is there? Alexander Grishuk.
Yeah, but that's not entirely fair because their careers are still to run their course. So
exactly, it's a free roll.
Yeah, I know, but
Rubinstein, that's my boy. I always liked Rubinstein.
No, but that list is, once again, even that probably inflames some opinions, but I think getting to 10 on that list without too much controversy is actually possible.
Let's do it.
I think we already have around 10, depending on how much of the current crop we take. So I think most people's lists start with Korchnoi with Keres in second, or maybe the other way around, but those two have to be 1 and 2, right?
I disagree.
What's your 1 and 2 then?
Korchnoi is not on there. Keres is also very unclear. Like Rubinstein, Bronstein, Caruana. All very much up there for me.
Not sure how much of this is a level, but...
No level. Levon we could put on. Level? No. Polugevsky, nah, he was a step below these other dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. I would disagree with leaving either of the Korchnoi-Keres pair off the list. For me, Ivanchuk is very high on that list. Feels a bit like a bit of a travesty that he never became world champion, honestly.
But was he ever the strongest player in the world, or even close to the strongest player in the world? I don't think so.
Well, he was, I think...
Zero disrespect meant to the legend, but when was he a contender to be world champion? Or if...
At more or less every single point of his career between, I don't know, late 80s and...
So you think he could have beaten Kasparov in a match between late 80s and 2000?
He had a decent score against Kasparov at one point, I think, and define decent. Let me look this up. But
Yeah,
also,
you can look up.
but also, that's how is that the criterion? So basically, that would delete more
What
or
is the
less.
criteria then? Beloved guys or guys who had long chess careers, or what's the question?
No, guys who kind of
Strongest players to never become world champion?
yes.
And
No, but
I just disagree. Sorry.
no, I don't mind. I don't mind disagreement, but disagreeing because he lived in the era of somebody who was so dominant that, frankly, nobody in the world had a.
Yeah, but he was never even clear top 2, no? He might have been number 2 in the world rankings at one point, but...
So, let's say...
So, Ivanchuk in a match against Kramnik in the 90s, I don't see him as a favorite at all. Or Vichy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the score against them is not huge either.
Ivanchuk versus Kasparov between, let's say, 1985 and 2000, let's say.
All right.
Yeah, that gives me a lot of noise. I should probably use some other metric because that would not filter out rapids and things. Let me do it the other way around. So what would be your top 3, let's say?
Yeah, as usual, these cross-era comparisons are very, very tough to make. Because obviously, Caruana would probably beat Rubinstein in a match. But yeah, skill-wise and impact-wise, Rubinstein is very, very high for me because he influenced chess so much. Then yeah, I would take one of the current crop and probably you go with Keres as well. It feels to me that Keres was much, much closer to, at least being the strongest player or in the top 2, 3 than Ivanchuk.
Okay, so in the time frame I specified in classical 11-4 in Gary's favor with 22 draws.
Okay.
Which is about...
Speaks a pretty clear language, no?
Yeah, I was going to follow it up with about as close to equal as you get versus Kasparov in that time frame. But yeah, I see your point. I'm still not going to recant. It's like because of how subjective those things are. Like he's going to be very high on my personal list. I rate him incredibly highly as a chess player, and I think in terms of understanding and versatility and general gift at the game, I think he rates.
No, if we're having a talent discussion, it's maybe different. But if we're having who was close to being world champion, I would never have thought that Ivanchuk even has a chance to win a world championship match if we're not counting the one against Ponomarev.
Yeah, but that's, once again, I think that's largely a byproduct of his makeup as a person, not his.
That doesn't
skills.
go into your chess skills?
Yeah, it does, but yeah, I understand I'm fighting a bit of a losing battle here. Once we...
No, I'm just... I think it's interesting to genuinely disagree, because normally, we're just hedging and stuff, but this one, yeah, I just don't see it. And I am obviously a big fan of Ivanchuk's chess skill. I never saw him as a number 2.
Yeah. There's a mention of Rajabov in chat before he had kids. I don't know if I agree. I think that's another one of those where, nobody disputes that Timur is an incredibly strong player, but if we take his generation, he is not my, number one name on the list of people who, had the closest, the most obvious shot. I would take, I don't know, Sasha above him, for instance, or
Dr. Levon? Or
Yeah,
who else was
Lev,
in that
Lev,
generation?
Lev for sure. Yeah.
All right. So, what have we agreed on? It's
We kind of
you have
agreed on
Korchnoi
Keres
much higher
seemingly.
than me. Yeah, Keres, okay, that's easy. Yeah, Korchnoi, I don't know. This one was a little before my time, so I don't have that strong opinions about his fighting skills and his longevity and how you rate that, all that stuff. But somehow, yeah, not sure about that one. Bronstein is usually mentioned in these debates. There, I might also lack a bit of perspective. Of course, I know that famous match against Botvinnik, but I don't really know like how many successes Bronstein had, how he stacked up against the other top players at that time. Not quite sure. Let's move on. Who was the worst world champion? I don't know. Uwe is probably a popular
Everybody
pick there.
says Uwe, and that's I think pretty much the what's the word, the stock answer there. But it feels very disrespectful to Dr. Uwe. Am
Yeah,
I
they were
pronouncing
all
that
good
right?
players. That's not the debate. That's why they became world champions.
Yeah.
So who would you pick if not Uwe?
Yeah, but it's just
Steinitz.
yeah. Actually, maybe yes. I think he was a very, very important player for the development of the game. But I think
I would have beaten Steinitz. Uwe, not so sure. Steinitz, he did some weird stuff. But
yeah, but I
cross-era
think like
comparisons are, of course,
his approach to chess is of the world champions. I feel was perhaps I don't know how to phrase it correctly. He was sort of already wrong in the era he was playing. I don't know if that probably doesn't get the message.
Actually, Chigorin, his understanding was closer to correct, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He played,
for me,
center and checkmate and stuff.
For me, as someone who is, a product of not just the Soviet chess school, but the Leningrad/St. Petersburg chess school, the chess club we have in the city is named after Chigorin, and Chigorin is very much a figure that is lionized and revered. And if you look at their matches, Chigorin was playing something that is in many games very closely resembling what would people be doing in those positions right now. And Steinitz was not constantly, but quite a bit, was defending positions which these days you look at and you say, yeah, no, I'm not playing that. Like, thanks, but no thanks. And I recently I included that personal anecdote in a lecture. That lecture we both gave to the kids early in April. I showed the younger kids that position in. I think they played a very, very long match. That was maybe game 23, I want to say, maybe 21, where he just blundered a mate into his checks with an extra piece. I think the scores in the match were maybe level at the time, and that basically cost him the chance to become world champion. And I remember when I saw that diagram, I had a book about the history of the world championships, which included some anecdotes and some game snippets from every single world championship match played up until then. And that diagram literally brought tears to my eyes when I was a kid. The bishop before rook g2 check diagram.
Paige is saying, it's okay, Jan, but we want your opinion on Topalov now. In what respect? When it comes to strongest players to never become world champions? I consider him world champion, no? He won that. I always mix those up. He won the St. Louis or the Mexico City tournament? The St. Louis tournament, no?
Yeah.
So I had never yet counted him on the list of non-world champion for that. Other than that, Topalov, yeah. Amazingly strong player has not been around around consistently at the top tournaments anymore. I think he's quite happy with his family life. He has 2 kids living in Spain and seems to, be at peace. Personally, I think he's a very nice guy. I get along with him well. I was considering him and Danilov bit of the villain in these. When was that? The
'06, yeah.
Toilet gate match with all that stuff going on there. It felt like, some things felt indecent. I would guess those were not really Topalov's doings, but back then he was a bit of a figure. The interactions I had with him.
This comment needs to be mentioned before it scrolls up, and I can no longer read it out. Yargo King Divan says, the guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones is probably the strongest guy to never become chess world champion. I think that
we were discussing it in terms of chess strength, not physical strength.
Boo.
No, that's hilarious. I like Toppy, is what I'm saying. Dr. Pipe was saying Topalov was accused of cheating by several Russian players. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard these stories, but I've never seen that going very far. That was, I guess mainly these stories came out after when was it? I always mix them up. St. Louis, right? The one he won, not Mexico. But I've never seen much of a follow-up to these rumors, so I think, that's what they've stated. The Bowtie Club is saying, how strong was Valery Salov? That you probably know better than me, but I would say very strong.
Well, I think he was well established as world number 3 at some point in the mid-'80s, in the period between, I don't know, I want to say 85, 88. I will be slightly hazy on the details.
Wasn't it early 90s? I would say it's
maybe
90s.
Early 90s even, I think, no doubting he was extremely strong. He also, by Jan's metric, though, he probably isn't a contender for the list, because I don't think he at any point looked like he is likely to beat Kasparov, for instance.
No, of course he's not a contender for greatest non-world champion, but he was very, very strong. He won that Sicilian theme tournament they had in 1994, I think.
Yeah, and that started with a very nice angle shoot, which kind of a cautionary tale for, please write your rules as transparently as possible and include all the corner cases. Because this apparently was not supposed to be allowed, but the wording was vague enough to allow it, and he won at least one game in that line.
They probably didn't know about Bishop C4 back then.
I don't know what would have happened if somebody tried playing that in the Buenos Aires Sicilian tournament. 5 Bishop C4 and let's go.
Lawrence Trent, International Masters, in the chat. How are you today, Lawrence? Do you have a question for 8-time Russian champion Peter Svidler?
Yes. And if you do, what question is it?
Is Geary benched again? Come on, Anish.
Was Salov ever better than, let's say, Dreyev, Bareyev? I would say probably yes. Bareyev was at his absolute best. He was also, I think, consistently around number 3, 4 in the world. Was also a very, very strong player. But I think he won fewer things than I would need to. I'm not even sure.
I'm also not that sure. I said yes instinctively, but Bareyev, you forget how incredibly good he was as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't, because I played a ton against him. And
you know the guy.
Yeah. In my head canon, both he and Jay are legendary in my head canon, because I grew up thinking, one day I might be able to play a game against them, and then suddenly I was playing against them, in all the Russian championships and so on. And I remember the thrill of, winning my first game against Dreyev in a French. And thinking, whoa, I did not think that would ever happen, because of how much my attempts to understand the French were based on studying his games.
Yeah, Dreyev also very physically strong.
Yeah, very, very, and also has some unusual tricks. Yeah, because I think, let's say that chair trick that he does when he gets a little bit soused. Is it soused or soused? Soused, I think. Yeah, he soused the herring. You know the chair trick, right?
At least you told me. I've never seen it in action.
I think it's more or less entirely a matter of technique. At least I think he himself told people that basically you just need to learn the proper technique and it's not difficult.
What
But
are we
I tried.
talking about so that people don't get ideas?
Yeah, yeah. The chair trick is taking a normal, proper wooden chair, like weighing whatever it is that it weighs, and lifting it up by one leg. And I mean, it's not heavy, but it just falls over in your hand if you don't know the proper technique for it. It's just incredibly difficult to balance it while lifting it. It's not a matter of weight, of course. And yeah, I've seen numerous people fail to repeat it after him, but he just does it, wake him up at 4 a.m. after a bender and he will still be able to do it.
You think he's asleep at 4 a.m. after a bender?
Probably not, yeah.
All right,
Probably
I shall now
not.
practice the chair trick.
Yeah. Are there games?
No, I have an eye on them games. Normally I start around 5 p.m., so in 10 minutes we're almost there. So, what are the questions? Someone's saying, Peter, could you list your top 10 enemies? Kidding.
Trees in Bloom ranks currently very high on the list. The stupid flying things, which I keep on calling them mosquitoes, but they're not mosquitoes. They may be gnats, but I actually looked up what gnats are, and they're not gnats either. I don't know what to call them. Those are currently the two clear favorites on the list.
Mr. Dodge is saying, call in, Lawrence. We haven't had any controversies. Anytime, Lawrence. If you got any hot takes, more than welcome. Oh.
Yeah. The Bob the Tavern Keeper is a good mention in the list, yeah. Well played, Yargot.
Top 3 biggest complainers in chess. That has been established.
Yeah, there's a discussion. Another name that probably should have been at least mentioned at some point, Alexei Shirov. But yeah, the point there is that if we're disqualifying Ivanchuk because of his score against Kasparov, then
it's not so much the individual score against Kasparov, like as people know, Vichy also had a bad score against Kasparov, and no one would question his credentials just yet. To me, and maybe I'm wrong because I haven't sampled all the rating lists, but Ivanchuk was never a number 2 player in my mind at any time. No, like Karpov was ahead of him for a while, and then, at least in my mind, Kramnik was ahead of him after that. So I don't know. Yeah, I struggle with it, but maybe it's a lack of chess history knowledge. Doubt it though.
Yeah, and also a lot of mentions of the original FFL. The original FFL, of course, is an FFL.
Kowski.
Yeah, but I don't know how high you have to place him on the list of people who never won the World Championship title.
He played against Karpov. He played the match, and where was that? No, Was that?
That was
92? No.
no,
Sorry,
that
I got this. No, this was way later. Yeah, sorry.
In the early 2000s, yeah.
2000. No. Ugh, I'm getting very confused with my timelines. Someone help me. When was Karpov against Kamsky match? Kamsky was.
Oh.
Yeah, probably 12.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Yeah, 1996. That sounds correct. That sounds right. 96.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Why? Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was. I was really blanking on this one. Yeah, that's shameful. Shame. Yeah, Kamsky was really kind of crushing it, because I think he got to the semis of both cycles there, right? I think, because that was the era of the.
That was a time when they played the PCA and the FIDE cycle. Didn't he beat Vichy in one and lost to Vichy in the other? In
I think 94? So. Yeah, I think he played Vichy in both cycles, and they traded blows, and Vichy went on to play Gary in New York, and Kamsky proceeded to get to play Karpov in the other one. Yeah, he was a crusher in the mid-90s.
Where's my boy Leko? He was also, once again, probably never a clear top 2 guy. He was a clear top 4 guy, but he was probably behind Vichy, Kramnik, Gary when he was at his peak. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. He obviously played the World Championship match against Kramnik in 2004. Got very, very close. Not sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to how close you literally got to the title, he's probably number 1 or tied with Bronstein / maybe Gelfand. But yeah, there's no real categories for this conversation. So, hard to say.
Yeah, and Jake Lowndes actually dug up the records and says Ivanchuk was number 2 in the world for 3 months in a row, if I understood him correctly, between May and July 1992. So, yeah, I had the feeling at one point he was not just, everybody's favorite.
But I didn't argue he was never number 2 for like a tiny period of time. That one I will not count. Like, obviously it counts, but I'm saying he was never an established number 2.
Yeah,
in 92, you could argue, was he stronger than Karpov? Not sure. Karpov did pretty well in 94.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will not die on that Ivanchuk hill. Fantastic player. I would not have it.
Yeah, and also I'm beginning to understand that there's like a huge discrepancy, and I wonder, like, my initial assumption when this gets brought up is that people bringing it up are probably Americans. Who
are we talking about? Ruben Fine, Pillsbury, Reshevsky?
No, specifically the Morphy fans.
Morphy I sort of consider world champion.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely. I mean, I wouldn't dispute he was sort of way ahead of his time and incredibly strong and basically not world champion only because the title didn't exist.
Exactly.
But I think he is much more of a cult figure for the American chess public than he is for the non-American chess public. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a lot more
big
universal.
over here.
And yeah, I think I would generally agree with the Morphy sort of more than Steinitz. Morphy and then Daylight and then Steinitz theory that Alex Gabrielov posted in chat. I think he is a lot closer to what the current understanding of how the game is supposed to be played than Steinitz was. Although I think, as often is the case with these things, without Steinitz and his, very stubborn ideological defense of, solid play, no weaknesses, grab all the material and defend. It needed to exist and then be torn down for chess to progress, I think. It laid a foundation from which you could, build something new and better.
Yeah, it was maybe a little dogmatic. Anyway, speaking of Morphy, Magnus Carlsen is not playing in this tournament, but it is still a great event that will continue shortly. The FIDE-chess.com online Nations Cup with 8 of the top 10 players in the world in action, where China is firmly in the lead, while Europe and the USA are fighting for second place, with Russia still having an outside shot, but not in prime position right now. Is that fair? I can't even recall the standing, but I think that's fair. Yeah.
Russia, I think Russia needs to kind of win out from here if we are to use those terms.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very difficult, and obviously when your top player is performing as far below his normal expected score as Jan is in this tournament, it doesn't help very much. I wonder if they just start benching him and playing the other three consistently, round in, round out. Would feel harsh, but also like just how many body blows in a row can Jan take without it impacting his, peace of mind.
He is playing against Ding Liren next round, apparently. Let me try to click on it. Yeah, looks like he's back in business. Nepomniachtchi against Ding, Artemiev against Wang Hao, Kayakin, Wei, Koryachkina.
So basically this would mean that Andreikin really hasn't been playing
where Andreikin at
all. Yeah, Andreikin played 2 games if I read my scores correctly. Nepomniachtchi played 7, Artemiev played 7, Kayakin played 5, and that only leaves 2 games to unaccounted for. So for some reason, Maestro is not being overused.
Yep.
He lost to Duda in round 1.
Mortilyov had seen enough.
And then he drew against Wesley. And that somehow was it. Which is a bit curious, because he is a very strong player and kind of good at all things rapid and blitz.
Nah, he's horrible. I'm kidding, please. Nepomniachtchi against Ding. Ding plays e5. That's not the move you play to cash in on Nepomniachtchi's poor form. But Ding, he probably just sticks to what he studied. He's expanding his range a little bit, even though the Semislav has been in his repertoire for a long time.
Yeah, and this line you would know a lot better than I do, but CD E4 is it still the critical attempt?
Depends on your definition. This has been pretty well studied at this point. White, of course, can try some things here, but I think Black has this fairly well mapped out, so you can also try something like DE5, but it's hard to find an advantage here. Curious what Nepomniachtchi chooses. E4, at least you're perfectly safe, which maybe in the current situation is not a bad idea.
Yeah, it does feel like maybe Jan is just here to maybe ask a question somewhere, and if the question gets answered properly, just sort of take the board off and kind of block board 1, basically.
Block the board. Artemiev on board 2 against Wang Hao. What is this line? Some
yeah, that's
Alapin?
some old school Alapin, which I don't think is supposed to be anything, but maybe, I mean, my knowledge of the, the actual Lapin theory is, I wouldn't dare call it knowledge. Knight e4 is smart, because I think automatically you're incredibly tempted to play knight d5, but then I guess the bishop goes to g3, white castles long, goes knight d4, and claims he's slightly better in some order, yeah. Because here a6 is a bit awkward, maybe, but maybe knight d6, yeah. But yeah, knight e4 more or less forces bishop e3, I guess. And that, of course, is a reasonably large achievement for black, spoiling the structure and also trading the bishops off the board, which means that knight c7 is no longer really anything you have to worry about. I would immediately assume, I would immediately assume black never has any problems here, as long as he stays sane, and doesn't blunder.
I'd be in can I be slightly better mood, no?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hu Yifan is playing a bit of a sideline against Goryachkina for queen d3. I've probably seen this move before, but I would not be able to spit out a lot of theory after queen d3. And frankly, you probably don't have to.
Yeah, the assumption is common sense should be enough here. Although, I'm sure you can go spectacularly wrong here with black if you don't know what you're doing. But...
Like this?
I didn't even mean that, and yeah, that would be quite bad.
I was wondering how bad it is. But
yeah,
probably not great.
Queen b7, queen a6. I think it actually escapes. I was planning to make a joke on this topic, but I think it escapes. Actually, a5. Not sure it escapes. That would be quite something if this worked out for black. In knight e7 or something, yeah.
Hard to believe. Very relevant line, so let's continue analyzing. The trap.
Yeah. The trap, yeah, but d followed by knight f6. I guess the queen goes to h4, and if you sort of castle into it, you might run into some bishop d3, bishop g5 things, which could be.
You go c5.
Would be troublesome.
I would guess no. Why would you castle here? c5 dc. Maybe I have seen this before.
Yeah, I have a feeling I may have also seen this at some point. But yeah, it shouldn't be anything. Very difficult to believe that this is something. And Vishy continues defending the endgame. Yeah. Can we call this the endgame? It's probably a bit overstating things, yeah?
Yeah, I think the Berlin might still have a case there. Even though Vishy is really working hard. Putting this on the map. Did Maxim do something new? Oh, he actually went queen b3, not queen f3, which is supposed to be a worse version of the
And then
endgame.
king d2. I think he was trying his hardest to make Vishy play something like queen c7 there and play with queens on, but
Nope.
Vishy was not to be deterred. Yeah, Vishy not interested in keeping the queens on here at all. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised at king d7. I thought knight c8, knight d6 was supposed to be played as fast as possible, but
Maybe he wants to
I guess-
challenge something
yeah.
coming here.
I mean, knight f5, king e6, g4, h5, h3.
Yeah,
And I
but
guess then
getting
black
rid
goes
of the
knight c8,
h-pawn
knight d6, yeah. Mhm.
is an achievement. Anyway, Vishy happy playing that. Which
And
match is the
apparently-
most relevant for our purposes? Hard to say. Yeah, they all matter a bit.
Yeah, and people are saying Naka is already in some trouble, which is surprising. Who is he playing? He's playing Alireza. Oh, no, but this is theory. No. This is just theory.
Oh yeah, this is the one line he plays. Good old e3, knight bd7.
Yeah.
And this time around he goes knight h5. He's had enough of defending the c6 position. And he goes for the other one. But he starts
Yeah.
with queen c7, which we were discussing plenty the last couple of days. Sasha said they no longer go for this because it's too risky. They start with bishop h6, which is also what Carlsen did, and so on and so forth. So a little interesting that he's going for the direct stuff. But
yeah, and here rook
not play
a7
this.
instead of rook a8 because, but you, as you and Sasha told me that I just assumed rook a8, b5, cb, knight d5 was a forced draw because I thought black drew every single game at some point in that line, but maybe not. And rook a7, f5 is the other way to.
This also exists. Here. Yeah.
I think bc e5 is theory, right?
Yeah.
e5 g and something takes on c5, and it looks very scary, but might not be.
I thought it was a bit scary, though, if I recall my admittedly somewhat dated clicking here. So I'm a bit surprised because I think computers dislike this for black, but I could be wrong. Also, here, don't you start with e5?
Yeah, I'm also trying to figure out why fe6 is not a thing.
Maybe he's mixed up the move order.
Yeah, I just assumed fe6 is impossible, but the more I think about it, the more it feels like maybe this is already a misplay, because how do you react to fe6 right now? I thought we can go either cb or cd, but ed7 just wins a piece, so maybe ed7 bishop f6 here or something. But that feels like you're really pushing it. Yeah, it might just lose somehow. Yeah, queen e8.
Does this win? I'm not sure. Bishop d8.
Bishop d8, knight g5. Oh, rook d8, queen d8. Knight g5. Knight g5, but c2 probably is too quick because we can't really generate mating threats. We do make some progress, but we don't generate mating threats. Knight d4, g6. Yeah, I don't know.
Fun position. I'm not sure.
Yeah, very funny position to look at. Yeah, there's rook c8 there. Maybe you are winning. I don't know.
But there might also be an easier way here.
Yeah, there could be something smarter in this position for sure.
Don't see it. Knight somewhere d3 is not clear.
No, that those positions should be fine-ish for black. Yeah. No, but maybe fe c takes d4. We can go just knight takes d4, and no, but then bishop f6 anyway, I guess.
Yeah. Well, this could very much happen, so we'll keep an eye on it.
Very curious. And what else do we have here? Vidit is a pawn down against Lev, but appears to have decent initiative for it. Also, they got here so fast that there might be at least half a chance that he is still in prep.
Vidit is an excellent theoretician, so yeah, I would not be surprised. Also,
yeah, 26 minutes.
Yeah.
He knows.
He knew.
He knows. And this is the line which, yeah, I remember. It would be strange if I didn't remember. This is the Caruana Alexeyenko game from the candidates up until knight b5, which prompted some people to post very critical things about Kirill's understanding of chess, saying the d-pawn should have been blocked on d5 and so on, which we kind of chuckled about afterwards, in as much as it was possible to chuckle after losing a game in the candidates.
Would you say Kirill is one of the strongest players ever to not become world champion?
I think that's a bit of an overstatement currently. No.
Greetings to Kirill.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously some mix-up happened there.
This has nothing to do with understanding. It's about concrete
remembering your files.
Knowledge.
Yeah, remembering your files. Not even having files, but actually remembering your files in this case. And I guess now that rook b8 even has been played in theory in the game, I can say that after d6, bishop f8, move 13, if white goes knight b5 there, you do play rook e6 here, because the point is after bishop f4 there is knight h5. But the inclusion of h3, bishop h5 changes things quite significantly, because after knight b5 here, rook e6, bishop f4, you no longer have a good move. But Kirill remembered quite distinctly that he was supposed to play knight b5, rook e6 somewhere.
Yeah, it's that half knowledge is often more dangerous than no knowledge. Because if you know nothing, you might calculate your way home. But if you have this in your head, there's no way.
And I remember afterwards we saw a number of Facebook posts saying, read some Nimzovich, Kirill. Past pawns have to be blocked and so. And we thought, yeah, haha, very funny.
This looks like a fun position in Duda versus Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I've also.
Although this is fairly standard stuff in this day and age of ours. G6, not sure, stopping at F5, and he pushes the e-pawn. Alright. No strong opinions. I guess white is slightly better.
Yeah, bishop f6, f4, I suppose, is the plan, because if you allow me to take in place of... Even here, I would honestly consider maybe even taking straight away, but... Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure I will get enough time to establish proper... Yeah, like I might get just overrun with the castles short and f5 and get mated. Wouldn't be out of the realm of possible. There's a long theoretical discussion in the open Spanish in the Karakin VE game. Yeah. But okay, that doesn't matter. And Alireza decides not to check the fe6 line after some thought, and goes. I assume this position is theory. I think I've seen this position.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure if there was a move order mix-up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, because I just decided to check, and fe6 pretty much wins.
How does it go? CD,
ED, bishop f6, queen e8, dc3. Yeah, that line apparently just wins. Rook a8, bishop d8, and knight d4 is +7. So we got there and just didn't believe ourselves. So it's an acceptable outcome, I think, these days.
Yep.
So yeah, if there was no, but once again, yeah, there are no DGT boards here to misreport the orders. I guess Hikaru just mixed up the orders, and Reza didn't believe his luck and just went back to the official theory. And yeah, this still very much exists. The most, actually, not as many games as I thought. Our sort of in-house database only gives one game starting from this position between Robert Kempinski and Valery Neverov, who I haven't seen in ages and ages. It's a name from my youth. Played in all the way back in actually not that long ago, 2013.
Okay. It's probably one of those that everybody checked whenever this was topical in 2011 or something, but has not been played that much. Nepomniachtchi is indeed playing it pretty safe in this game, as was to be expected. All of this. This is this famous game Vichy lost to... Who was it? The young Hungarian player?
Glidura, yeah.
Glidura, yeah. But people have figured out how to hold that endgame. I think I had it once against.
No, but the thing is, Vichy also figured out how to hold that endgame, and then I think he just mentally checked out, assuming that they need to reach move 30 and then a draw will be offered. And he made a few inaccurate moves, and the draw was no longer offered.
Yep, been there. Anyway, very safe choice by Nepomniachtchi, as is not surprising. This position is fun. No pun intended.
Whoa! The Buddhist monk has appeared.
Is he here? Is he here? Oh my god.
What's up, peeps?
Oh wow, look at you looking all rested. Happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say rested. I'm far from rested, but I did like cut my main off. Whatever main I can grow nowadays. And I've gone for a walk. I've had a day of chess, and I've got more chess in about 40 minutes. So it's just a quick in and out.
Wow. What's the chess you're playing in 40 minutes?
Say in the business. No, I've got lessons. I've got some private
lessons.
Yeah.
Is there any coach that is more in demand than you these days?
Ben Feingold, probably.
Yeah, the Benster.
The Benster, I don't know. No, things are good. How is everybody? I have to admit, I've not followed this tournament at all so far. I have followed.
You are a perfect guest then.
I have followed the Magnus.
We can try running some fake news by you and see if we can spot the lie.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I would need some time to prepare. Don't just the idea just occurred to me. Don't expect I have things prepared. I never have things prepared.
All I know is that Jan has been playing not that well, losing to Vichy quickly, and I'm just checking. He just lost now. Yeah, he lost against Hikaru. Probably not doing that well. Apart from that, Vichy on fire. Yeah, Vichy playing very well.
Vichy playing very well. Yeah. I think the one that he will be less than happy about was the one that got away against Hikaru yesterday. That would have saved the match for India. Those generally just hurt that little bit more. Not just not beating Hikaru with the black pieces after playing very well, but also when that costs your team the result it needs.
Breaker90 is saying Lawrence has pretty good videos on here. Not surprised people pay him to teach chess. There you go. And if you become a Chess24 Premium member, you get access not only to all of Lawrence's videos, but to all the other videos as well. Even though, frankly, even if it was just the Lawrence videos, it would be a complete steal.
Yeah. And Zlatan for the win says, a wild Psyduck appeared. I will now need to Google Psyduck, but I will agree with that statement without knowing exactly what that is.
I don't know what a Psyduck is either. So what's going on in the games now?
Wow. Lawrence, bring the show back on track. That is his job, stopping us from all the nonsense. Getting back to the chess. The dude is trying to checkmate your boy, Pantala Harikrishna.
He is my boy, actually.
And I just checked my inbox and found an email from David Sedgwick in it regards to David clarifying the super final regulations, actually sending me the entire regulations. I'm very appreciative of it because honestly, finding them on at least on the FIDE.com website proved somewhat beyond me. And apparently, the super final is a single match between numbers 1 and 2. And if it ends 2-2, quite simply, the team finishing higher in the double round robin wins the whole thing.
Let's not have too much drama.
Yeah.
So it's like in the old days when the world champion had draws.
Yeah, looking at the cross table right now, yeah, China could just play for 2-2. They won't, but like they will have the option at least available to them, considering how dominant they are in the round robin portion of the event.
Lawrence, who's your favorite team in this event? Which one are you rooting for?
I don't have a favorite team.
Because you have boys on all the teams?
I have boys everywhere.
We tried composing a Lawrence Trent boys team yesterday and kind of got stuck after Fabi. But honestly, we came to the conclusion that it could feature anyone. Like,
what's your top? You can nominate 4 of your strongest boys and 2 of your strongest girls. What's your team?
From this selection, let's see. My boy Vidit. Vidit is my boy, for real.
But he's not exactly killing it in this tournament. And as usual, when we bring in Lawrence, there is someone who will not wait for long to join the festivities.
He's like a creepy old guy at the bar. Yeah, he just sneaks up on you when you're least expecting it.
Your boy.
The thing is, though, I was doing other things, and I had no clue that Lawrence was here. Like, no clue.
I love it.
It's just at this point, it's just a telepathical thing, I think.
Well, we're starting to think like, Magnus and we hang out in other stuff as people, and do other things. We're thinking the same there. We come on the Zoom call at the same time. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I didn't inherit.
Oh, I have to. Sorry, I just have to step out for a minute.
Yeah, you.
Thank you so much, world champion Magnus Carlsen. That was good stuff.
Just to complete my boy team, Vidit, my boy. MBL, Fabi, That's 3. Ali Reza makes the team for...
Ali Reza's your boy?
Yeah, Ali Reza's my boy. Ali Reza...
By the way, to be your boy, is it a mutual thing, or can you nominate anybody? How does it work?
No, it's not a mutual thing necessarily.
Right.
And I guess I would have Ho Yifan. She's my girl.
Right.
And I'm missing one more. I have got no Russians.
You need one more boy and one more girl.
I need one. No, I need one. Oh, two girls. Irina then for sure. And Levon maybe makes the team.
Interesting.
Yeah. No Russians. Oh no, Sergey and I, we're cool. We're coolier. My question though is, so what have you been doing? A question and answer session today or something, or is that just in between the rounds that you're doing?
Yeah, we're just talking nonsense in between the rounds, but you can ask a question anyway.
I've got no real questions to ask Peter, to be honest. When Magnus comes on, I'm sure he'll get involved somehow. I did want to ask Peter how you felt when Magnus did play 3H5 against you in the Blitz match.
I mean, the video is now, there's an attempt to make it a viral video. So, I think, it's one of those, don't hold back, tell us what you really think kind of things.
Do you think Magnus?
I was not happy. I was not happy. It was a mistake. Like many things were a mistake in that game. But
how would you feel like doing it in a Blitz game on the internet, fine. But have you ever? So I did think of a question. Have you ever had a game where somebody actually trolled you in a very serious tournament?
Very serious, no. But I remember Levon once beat me in the Melody Amber things somewhere in the mid-noughties. He played something along the lines of E4 and knight C6 against me, and also some absolute crap with white, and beat me 2-0 very easily on the day. And I looked so upset that he actually apologized afterwards, which I thought was a nice gentlemanly touch, because he was quite clearly trying to troll me, and also good enough at chess to pull it off. But yeah, I did not really appreciate that happening. Although, honestly, looking at it now, I've only got myself to blame. When people play that stuff against you, you're just supposed to win the game and say thank you. So yeah, no real reason to be upset at anyone but yourself in those situations. But Lev did. He kind of looked at me after the second one and said, yeah, sorry.
The reason I asked that, I remember a very famous game between the one and only Ginger GM.
Guys, there's a riot in the chat. One more story without acknowledging the Fabi game, and people will literally start being mean to us. We can't have that happen. What happened in the
Fabi game?
They are saying, focus on them chess games. Fabi is in exchange up, but I don't like his position.
Yeah, and huge credit to Bassem for spotting the idea of Rook A5, because it's important how they got there. This is a perfectly normal looking position in which Bassem just went Rook A8 A5 because he needed control over the B5 square. The threat white had was knight takes D6 and bishop B5. Yeah, it might squares. Yeah, it might backfire in the final count, but it is such a beautiful move to actually make in a chess game.
Wow.
I'm very excited. I actually started spamming Jan in every single messenger that I had to hand, saying we need this on the board, even if we continue listening to Lawrence. At least this position has to be on the board.
I did not see that. Sorry.
But is this any good, or is this just...
I suspect it's pretty decent, yeah. I think it's pretty decent.
Wow. This knight on D6 is...
It might just mathematically be correct, frankly, because of just how stupid the white light pieces look now, that you cannot play bishop b5 or knight b5. Even the immediate bishop h6, as the arrow indicates, even now that white actually seriously attempted to stop it, might be semi-playable. But also f5, also b5, b4, and then pushing for c4. All of these things are potentially very playable.
let's look at one of Lawrence's boys encounter, because two of them are playing each other here. Vidit with the white pieces against Levon Aronian. And
Levon in trouble slightly.
Vidit came with a prep.
Yeah. Wow. This looks bad for Levon, no? Just some queen somewhere. We win a pawn and he just wants to hold, does he? We don't know.
No, I think the bishop probably goes back. There is bishop takes f7, but it feels to me like it belongs on f3. But then I guess black plays b6, and it's not that easy to make progress.
What was that? Bishop f7, b6?
Bishop f7, rook g8, I think. Which is why I thought maybe dropping it back to f3 was...
And what's the prognosis here? It feels we are a pawn down, right?
Yeah, but I think white risks absolutely nothing. The question is whether he wins very many of these or not.
Do we have results? Russia, China, 1-1. Nepomniachtchi, yeah, wrapped it up quickly there against Ding. Which, yeah, understandable given how his tournament went. And with the white piece you can do that. Kayakin, also with the white piece, is saying, I do not care. I'm making a quick draw against Wei Yin. No, that's not what he's saying. I think there was some theoretical debate in the open Spanish, which ended peacefully. That means Artemiev and Goryachkina are now left.
Artemiev actually has a very pleasant endgame.
Yeah, maybe they saw that Artemiev did well against Wang Hao in the opening, and then they wrapped it up. I don't know how stuff works. Can they see the other games?
Yeah, I'm also not entirely sure about being able to watch other games. Normally in the team competition, it's very much part of the flow of the match, because you constantly have to pay attention to what your compatriots are doing. But yeah, I don't know how much of that is allowed there. I would assume it is somehow allowed.
And guys, there's a riot in the chat. People are saying, we are all leaving if Lawrence does not finish his Jinchishashvili story.
No, it was it was Simon Williams. So it was a British Championship probably 18 years ago. And basically, I don't know if it was an official bet, but he was dared, at least at the very minimum, and correct me if the details are wrong, to play f3, king f2 in the final round of the British Championships. Now, I think he was playing...
And Magnus just up and goes at those news of his back.
Well, Magnus has got no right to get up when I mention f3 and king f2, because the number of times he's trolled me playing f3, king f2, or e4, f5, ef5, king f7, which is his famous little troll opening against me. Yeah, so Simon played that in a proper game, but I've never, unfortunately, had the...
Did it go well for him?
I think he won as well. I think he had a bet and he had like a bonus if he won as well with f3, king f2. I'm going to try and find it. Let's see if I can find this guy. Anyway, Magnus, what's up? What you up to?
Oh no, I was just out for a minute, doing what I had to do.
Going to the bank, the post office, picking up the groceries.
I had to do a little favor.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Okay. Let's look at some games. What have I been missing?
Well, Basim played the move that first looked the most natural to me, by the way. That was the first move that popped into my head.
Yeah, let's go to the Fabi game. That's the most interesting one, strategy-wise.
And I wonder what Magnus will think of rook a5 in that position.
Oh.
Sorry, the tool is a little slow. Here we are. Knight c4, rook a5.
Yay or nay?
Oh. That is... I don't know what to say.
It's very interesting, no?
Yeah, it's pretty radical. Wow. Well, Fabius replied pretty radically in turn.
Yeah, giving up on e4 just to get some life into the position. I actually quite like what Fabi has done, because it might be awkward to defend the pawn on c5 without actually taking on a4, and then white has suddenly the b file for the other rook. And assuming you take on d2, but I guess you take on d2, right? I mean, there is queen c7.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get it at all. What was wrong with bishop d3 on the previous move? Like queen d2?
I think he didn't like to allow b5. I think he thought, if I give him one more chance, he will play b5, and I don't want that.
Yeah, then you go like knight b1. You bring the queen to e3, the rook to c1, so on. Knight to d2, possibly. I don't see it at all.
Sorry to interrupt. So hilariously, I've just gone on to my database to look up 1f3. Guess who the top player is in the world that's played 1f3? And it's on the database.
I played 1f3.
You played 1f3. And not only did you play 1f3, you followed it up with knight h3 on move 2 against Babu Lalit on a site that shall not be named.
But I lost? No.
You lost, yeah. That will teach you. Yes, you did.
Yeah. That was a bit too much.
Yeah, there was a guy when I was a kid in Leningrad, even in those years. There was a club where
in the English part of Leningrad.
Yes, exactly. There was a guy who played in every single game. He would go f3, g3, knight h3, knight f2 with white, and f6, g6, knight h6, knight f7 with black, and then would start playing. And he would score like maybe -2 in like 2200 strength tournaments.
But you get a sucky King's Indian. I mean, that's more or less it, right? With both colors.
Yeah, I'm not advocating for this approach.
No, but I mean, I'm not saying like you haven't sinned that greatly against chess by doing that.
Yeah, it's amazingly survivable. Yeah.
I mean, I played that a bunch online as well. Like
Simon Williams did play
I recommend it.
f3, d5, king f2, and did win the game. So there you go, against Martin Simons from 1999. Goodness me. I'm getting old, folks. So, yeah, interesting game here. Fabi against...
Okay, knight f4 was very strange to me.
In the Fabi game, yeah? I moved on to Firouzja Nakamura. Is anything happening here? Earlier, as we've established, Firouzja could have won with f takes e6, so probably Hikaru mixed up the move order, but it did not happen. No, sorry, 94, yeah. This seemed to be winning. But now, they have this.
It still looks very sketchy for black, but maybe you kind of stabilize and white never gets anything.
You also have counterplay against f2.
And it's just very difficult to push a6 and make it amount to something. Yeah? You can play a6 at any point, but it just doesn't do very much.
Yeah.
So Magnus, can you settle a debate for us? In the break, we were discussing the greatest players to never become world champions, with the usual caveats that it's hard to compare eras and all that. But Peter felt that Ivanchuk should be high on that list. I felt he shouldn't be that high on that list. You can decide.
I don't know. Like, what has he done? Like,
what has he done?
With me, you get real talk, right? You don't get.
That's why I'm asking
any
you.
of.
I love it.
No hedging.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's probably not very high up on the list. Like he's a wonderful player, but I think he's more of a cult hero than objective merits. And I mean, Fabi's just gone on to play g4, g5 as well. I mean, not to. We can continue discussing the subject, but I just feel that that is so disgusting that you kind of have to mention it.
Sorry, on my way. Here we are. Whoa.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that is truly disgusting, I would say.
That is a bit shocking. I understand the bishop on h6 is strong, but yeah, that seems like a bit of an overreaction.
Do we drop Fabi a spot from the greatest non-world champions for g4, g5? Whoa.
Okay, maybe I'm overreacting. I just don't like it at all.
And he followed up with f4, so he has a concrete idea in mind. Basically, ef, I guess queen takes f4, and he is claiming this works out tactically somehow. Because if black cannot play ef comfortably, I can understand this being quite strong, because we obviously play f5 next move then.
Well, it depends. Like after king g8, I don't think you.
Yeah, after king g8, I will have to.
Sorry, what's the line? You start with king g8?
Maybe, yeah.
I think king g8 is pretty clever, because now you're threatening ef, queen f4, rook e8, and then bishop queen d6,
Whoa.
bishop d5 will trap.
That is very, very nice, yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, that is cool. King g8 f5 anyway, gf, bishop takes h5, but then f4 and yeah.
Maybe you can actually do that.
Bassem took, which we will see within a couple minutes. Here we are.
Yeah, that kind of plays into Fabi's idea here quite a bit, because you
well,
know,
I mean, still there is bishop c3 and so on.
Yeah, he played queen b8.
He played queen b8.
Queen b8, yeah.
But now white gets e5 and d6, yeah, and but then maybe he loses the pawn on e5. This is quite clever. E5, knight
bishop
f5.
h3.
No, but knight f5, d6, rook e8 might just be winning for black, no?
Yeah, I think so. So you got to go e6.
Yeah, but if you go e6, black is just fine at the very least, right?
Take f e6, yeah.
This is such obviously great compensation.
Yeah. No, I mean, after queen b8, this could like be, practically speaking, like much worse for white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's much easier to play for black. And also, if you don't play e5, if you allow rook e8, bishop e5, you are, I think, strategically lost. So yeah, I think it's very critical for Fabi here.
Right,
I'm not sure what he's supposed to do even.
So brief look at results. 1-1 in Russia, China still, where it looks like Artemiev is closer to win now.
I find the game between Maxim and Vichy a bit interesting. The current position that we have there.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we are, the end game.
Oh,
I think it's interesting to see what happens after rook e6 now. Like, does black, because FG seems forced. Yeah, so you take it, and then king d5.
d7 or d5 or somewhere.
Yeah, but now you get knight h5 as well.
Yeah, which is why I thought maybe d7.
Yeah, king d7 probably. Yeah,
Get
probably
all the way to h2.
Yeah,
and then
black is just fine.
Hang on a second. If I run with the king, but no, king d5, king e4 will be very strong. Yeah, it should be some kind of
draw. Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's probably that draw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's also what will make the decision easier is that after rook e6, there's absolutely no choice. Everything else, I think, just loses comfortably.
Yeah.
Magnus, have you heard all the chatter if you will participate in the Mr. Dodgy Invitational and how much it would take? There's been a lot of debate.
I didn't think there was any chatter. Like, I thought I'm not playing and that's it.
Okay, that has pretty much been the chatter. Sorry,
So
Mr.
harsh.
Dodgy.
Yeah.
You've crushed a man's dreams
You
Who's
gotta love
great?
it.
swiftly.
I think Mr. Georgie, I doubt if he even wants me to play. He just wants the attention of me not playing.
So he's just using you for the clicks, the likes, the follows.
When you say it like that, it sounds a bit harsh. I agree.
Danger Mouse saying you'll always have Peter Dodgy. Yeah, Peter already agreed.
Yeah.
All right, which game do you want to see?
You're playing.
Reza?
Like, you're playing, commentating the whole.
I'm doing all the things. Yeah. I found out yesterday I'm not even a mod in his channel, so I need to go back into his, somehow get back into his good graces.
Yeah, I've scared him away. I'm so used to commentating with Lawrence. I'm just mean all the time now. And Mr. Dodgy, he's not coming back. How do you do it, Lawrence? With all the abuse you're getting on air, from the chat, off air, how do you keep your head up?
Well, after the show, go for a brisk walk and tell myself, imagine all of the people like amalgamated from today's show. Put them all as one entity, and I'm still a better chess player than all of them put together. Okay. Put all of their brain parts together, all of their noses and their eyes, whatever it may be, and I think, isn't life glorious?
So you're saying the world versus Lawrence Trent would win?
Yes.
Or are you just quoting John Lennon? Like, I wasn't sure when this was DVD.
Quoting Garry Kasparov when he... No, on a serious note...
Gary actually used to say that.
He did, yeah, he did. No, I love I have love. I just remember that we're all Kaiser's children at the end of the day, and Kaiser forgives.
Oh, this is nice what Fabi is doing. Rook f6, yeah, that's exactly the point.
Yeah, that is smart. Yeah, you can't allow this bishop to get to e5. So we have a game in which both sides have made positional exchange sacrifices. Was there anything better than rook e8? Because this looks strong.
Are you sure though?
How do you reply?
There's b5. Take b5.
And we don't get mated somehow, like bishop h5.
Bishop h5, b4.
Bishop g6. And then knight f5 and... No, hang on, but I will be threatening queen takes g6, right? Bishop g6 and then queen h4, h6.
Yeah. So knight f5. Okay, this doesn't actually work. You check to h5 and then you take it. Okay, so
yeah.
It's a bit tricky.
Yeah, and Bassem already played b5, so after bishop takes h5, he will have to find a way to deal with this, and he no longer can, because the pawn on c5 is hanging, you can't actually go knight takes e4 because you lose that endgame. Queen b8, knight e4, knight c5, I think you lose that endgame. So what do we have here?
Even this is not clear though, bishop h3. But...
Yeah, maybe loses a bit strong, but maybe it's just fine because d7, rook d8, we're just not going to be that worried. Maybe this is the bailout he has to go for.
But he also has bishop g6 followed by queen h4 and then
knight e4. Yeah, that probably wins.
E4. I think that
probably wins. Mm-hmm. Rook e4?
That's what I was wondering.
Queen g2,
yeah,
queen g2.
Yeah, this is...
I miss queen g2.
Not close. Okay, so bishop h5 does...
Still not
Where is
played.
it?
I was thinking.
Wow.
But he
It
has
just feels...
he somehow gotten here with 10 minutes, so he has plenty of time.
I mean, you can go bishop h5, g5, but that's super ugly, of course.
Yeah, I don't believe that will work. Just king h1 or something, and yeah, bishop h5 played.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay, king h1, king h6. However, still rook. Rook g1, knight e4, knight e4. Okay, that's rough.
That is a bit rough.
Not happening.
Does that mean there was an argument for playing b5 instead of rook e8? I understand it's all in
When, where, what? Oh, you mean here?
Yeah, maybe there's an argument for starting with this.
Oh, that could be.
Yep.
Because e5 knight f5 is still not a threat, so maybe we just win a tempo compared somehow.
I mean, even if e5, just I think b4 is very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone knight takes e4, but now, as Magnus said, if we include bishop takes g6, the feeling is it has to be decisive.
Yeah, so this is instructive that rook e5 probably loses the game, and then if he'd played b5, he probably would have been considerably better.
What's the lesson? Chess concrete game?
Yeah.
Knight
It's a good
E4
lesson,
on
though.
the board.
Pretty universal.
What is going on? So Magnus, thoughts on the tournament? Some of your boys aren't doing well. Nepomniachtchi doing badly, Giri doing badly. Chinese guys doing very well.
What are you insinuating, that the Chinese guys are not my boys?
No, I wasn't insinuating that. I was just summing up the action thus far. Who are your boys?
You know
we had Lawrence's all boys team.
Then I get pretty unhappy, and I'm probably gonna retort in a tweet pretty soon. Okay. No, I think
3 times as many boys after this.
I think it's interesting what's happened so far. The Chinese have been excellent. I think Yu Yangyi has been great. Apart from that, yeah, Jan, I don't know what's going on. Anish is also massively disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what to say.
Any other standouts? No.
Vidit is apparently now completely winning against Levon.
Oh, yeah, Vidit had a rough time. He has, half... Did he lose the last game against Ali Reza? I can't remember. So he's half out of 5, yeah?
But yeah,
this is nice in Vidit's game. You can just go h5, right? Oh no, his pawn is on h3, sorry.
Yeah, but g4, fg, rook b6 is seemingly very strong.
That's really nice.
What was that? G4 here?
Yeah, g4 here, and after fg you have rook b6, and there's no more rook e4 check, which is...
He missed it.
He didn't play it though, so game might still be on.
But king f3, that's still pretty good, right?
But yeah, I think it should still be very strong.
Rook b6.
Yeah, rook b6, rook
b6,
e4.
and then rook a6, rook g6.
Yeah, do you always win that?
I think concretely you just win by force.
Rook b6 played.
Oh, actually, maybe you don't. Rook a6. No, rook a6. There's rook f6 and then rook f5. Because I'm thinking rook a. Just click the line, Jan. What are you waiting with?
The
Yeah,
tool
yeah,
is not
and
reacting very quickly sometimes. Sorry.
that's what she said. What is what is this?
Because I was thinking rook a4, a6, h5, maybe the
Yeah,
last.
exactly. How are we winning this?
No, but the point is rook f6, rook f5.
King g6?
No, before a6.
Ah.
You're just not. You are losing.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
He's gone rook b5 instead. But
yeah,
I think
he played rook b5.
Yeah.
But now some kind of a
A6?
I think
Yeah,
rook h6. Rook h6 wins easily.
rook a5,
Rook
king
H-
f4.
Rook h7. No, rook h7.
Ah, rook a.
Oh, classic.
Why is this? Why is this
Why
so?
is this winning? Yeah. Why is this so easy?
You just put the king on f4, then you go g3,
Well,
h4, and
hold
then.
on. I'm going to put my rook on a4, obviously.
No, but then rook b5. No. I think like king g8, rook b7. I give a check. I go rook a2. I think that was the one hope I had. Like start.
Oh, but you go rook e7, right?
Yeah, maybe you go rook e7. But also in the current position, I think white now wins with like a7. Too late. I thought he was. I know what I was suggesting was not winning. Maybe king f4 is winning though.
King f4 is good enough.
Yeah, just king f4, king g5, and
Yeah. Okay, this is clearly. Yeah, this is probably quite easy.
Vidit, come back.
Yeah, my boy. I've got to leave in a few minutes, but I am curious to hear Magnus's answer on the greatest that never were. Very quickly, if he's got a top three. I've got a top three list, but I'm curious to hear what Magnus is. His top three.
I think Keres should be on the top three. I mean, just on the top of my head, Korchnoi for sure.
For sure.
Then I think, Brunstein, I think, is massively overrated. If you're talking like objective strength here, not in terms of whether you were close to being world champion or not.
Yeah, I think the discussion was more like world champion level, but never got the title.
I think like Brunstein was world championship level, but not for very long.
Right.
Well, sorry, world champion level.
What about my boy Rubinstein?
That is extremely hard for me to judge.
I'm also not
sure. I'm sure he's on the list, but top three. Top three, I do not know.
Like, is there a clear number one that is just without debate? Like,
Keres so far has been on everyone's list at the very
Keres,
least, in our small sample size here.
I would have said Korchnoi actually is my number one. No?
What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, we've had a longish discussion on the topic, and I started with Keres and Korchnoi, and already on the topic of Korchnoi there was some disagreement, and then some of my more hipster suggestions were laughed out of court. Like I mentioned Stein, and
that is not a serious suggestion though.
Yeah, that's
what I said.
It's
what about Bogolyubov?
the myth of a man.
No,
the dying of yellow fever at the prime of his life.
So Magnus, who of the current generation do you think is highest? Is it Levon, Fabi? Too early to say.
I think probably Levon at this point, but Fabi will, I think, eclipse him.
Interesting.
That's
Plus, he wins the world championship.
yeah, I was about to say that's like, I mean, how much shade we want to be throwing on the current world number 2?
I know.
The answer probably is quite a lot, but
the disrespect thrown Ding's way here, Peter.
Like recently, there aren't a lot, right? That you can, like from the 90s. Yeah, there are people like Ivan Truk, of course.
yeah, and
Firov, Gelfand, and so on.
But that whole generation, all the best ones were world champion, no? Like Anand, Kramnik, Topalov, Kasparov, Karpov, like.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't mention Nigel Short. How dare you?
travesty, that is. Travesty,
Yeah.
I tell you.
Let's not do tribalism here.
Shout out to my boy Julian Hodgson.
Yeah, Jules.
Very much so.
Jules, I know you're watching. We meant no disrespect by not mentioning you earlier.
He's probably not watching today, but if he is, shout out to Jules. I've got to go. Been fun. But if you are here, what is it? Saturday. I won't be able to do tomorrow. Ooh, when does this go on till?
It's tomorrow and day after tomorrow.
I might be around Sunday. Hit me up. You got my deets. DM.
Yes, we
People
have
in the chat,
what
let
you're
us know
saying.
if we should hit Lawrence up. Give us your unfiltered opinion.
The answer is yes.
As the kids say, slide into my DMs, and I'll see you all
Jesus.
soon.
Are your DMs open, Lawrence?
My DMs are open for you, yeah. Slide in. I'll see you all. Have fun. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Is this winning, by the way, Magnus? Because like I feel like I should know. Like it should be reasonably.
Yeah, I think Rook C7 and A6. That's pretty easy. Like I did blunder into the Ventura once against Levon, so I should know, and this is not it.
Yeah, I mean, with the rook on the side, this quite, yeah, this ain't it, chief. And then just King G4 and run in that direction. Yeah, that's just very easily winning.
Yeah, or King H6 works as well.
Yeah, that also is.
But it feels less classy, but I think it works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And very relevantly, Hao appears to have saved what looked like a completely lost endgame against Artemiev, which means that China probably stays undefeated. And Hoifan actually won. I mean, doesn't matter. Yeah, Hoifan won yet another game, so the Chinese women continue absolutely, laying waste to everything in their path. Still, I think one draw. I mean, sorry, two draws out of. Yeah, 2 draws out of 8. No, 3 already. Because in round 7, Muzachuk made a draw against Juvenjun. So.
So they're playing 1 out of Juvenjun and
Hoifan. Yeah, that's a pretty good lineup for.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, but Artemiev could have saved the match for the Russians, and I think he was at one point completely winning against Hao, but clearly not anymore. Yeah, somewhere around here.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good extra pawn.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. Oh, no. You can go on.
No, but I think even this probably is still winning. I have a feeling the mistake came later.
Hang on, here's the board. Sorry.
Yeah. I think the mistake came later. I think even, let's say, after 97, I suspect you're still supposed to be winning, but not the way he played it. He just kept on postponing the push with the pawns.
So you think this is winning?
I have it like maybe take on c4 with the knight, maybe knight g6, king d5, but then maybe they go king b4, yeah. Because I don't know, it's a tricky endgame already. I'm not sure how winning it actually is.
No,
but he didn't
just a draw.
That's for sure.
Yeah, he didn't really come close. So China wins. That probably ends the tournament for the Russians. They stay on 5 out of however many don't have mathematical chances to qualify anymore. The US will end up winning, and Europe is locked in a struggle against India.
Yeah, they're down half.
Yeah,
-1.5. So they need something to happen.
Yeah, -1. Duda is seemingly...
Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's a very sharp endgame. Duda is a full exchange up against Harry, but I don't think he's better. It probably is. I don't know.
Probably is the draw.
Yeah, it feels like these always end in a draw somehow. King e3 here reestablishes the threat of d2, so... Yeah, with such a passer, black normally is never worse, but I guess white holds. And on board 4 there, Hampi is slightly better against Muzachuk, so India probably wins.
That'd be bad news for Europe, no?
Yeah, and that
E4
means
is very strong now.
it's very difficult for Europe now to contest the...
It's beautiful.
That is kind of strong, yeah. But she goes rook a5 instead. What do you call that? That's not exactly an epaulette mate, right? But it's a close relative.
So I did this chessable course where we went through like 17 different kinds of mates.
Yeah.
I think I knew like 5 of the names.
Yeah, that's how I feel about English.
What did you know? Like
names.
fool's mate, scholar's mate.
What's
yes.
a scholar's mate? Scholar's mate is bishop f7 95 or
No, that's
No,
queen h5.
no, that's
queen
Legal's
f7.
mate. Or Legal. Maybe Legal.
Yeah, I thought that was the legal, the legal mate. But yeah, what's scholar's mate then?
Scholar's mate is queen h5, queen
That's,
f7.
yeah, queen h5, queen f7.
What's and fool's mate is f3 g4 then?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought fool's mate was queen h5, queen f7, and
No, that's not that foolish. Yeah.
Magnus played that in a tournament game.
Yeah, and
And I
Hikaru
love
as well,
it.
like many of the greats. I don't know any either. So what's with that Chessable course, Magnus? There's like a free lesson is out, but the full thing is not out, right? Chessable.com
Yeah, that's
/Magnus.
true.
But since you don't know the names of the mates anyway, why should people check it out?
Well, you can learn. You can learn with me. They have lots of funny names. Like Anastasia's mate, I know as well.
I've heard too.
That is when you go like
The queen b8 thing, yeah?
rook h5.
Oh no, it's queen
I don't
h7,
need
rook
that.
h5, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 92.
And there's also
rook
this-
h4, yeah.
That very, very long combination which starts
Carlsen.
with queen
Hammer
b8,
Carlsen.
rook a7, knight c7. That thing also has a name, right?
A smothered mate, obviously.
All smaller. Yeah. What's? I don't remember all of this stuff.
We're useless.
Yeah, it's also obviously extremely important knowledge, which
Of course.
you cannot live without.
Bridesmaid is being
Don't be
mentioned.
smug.
No, it's the show is called Elitist Chess Nerds for a reason. So this is all
It is.
brand. Ask Magnus if Hammer knows Anastasia's mate. Yeah, we've covered that already. So the only relevant thing still happening is if Europe can save this match here, which would help their chances to
Yeah,
make the finals.
Duda might now have a shot, maybe.
King e3.
King e3. I thought maybe I can play b3, but then rook d4. Yeah.
Rook d4, rook f3, king e4.
Rook f4.
Sorry, what's the
But
move
we
after King
probably
E3?
end up losing.
Or
this,
no
yeah?
tricks. Yeah, king
He
goes
went king c5. No, but then Duda might actually be winning, no? We just snap take on d2 here, and in practical terms,
He plays
like, how
B3,
easy
isn't
is
that
this?
just game over? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Why wouldn't you play king e3 there?
Still, there's rook d4. What is? Oh,
Before check. This is very.
rook f5 also. Sure.
Yeah. Knight a5 played, yeah, but now this is.
Okay, so this is just a complete collapse by Hari.
Yeah.
Knight a5. How do you win now? You just take?
I think rook f5 is pretty good.
Rook f3.
Oh, there's still knight d4 at the end, so I thought you would win the pawn.
Yeah, rook f3 played quite clever. Yeah, that actually
Rook
saves the
f3 is
d3 pawn. Yeah.
sadistic.
Rook d4, rook f5. Yeah. Ah, okay.
Yeah. That's called by youngster stuff. Very
now
cold.
you give a check on c3, you could give a check on d6. And then you
take on d2, and yeah, it's a sad situation, and it's getting more and more absurd.
But at least for you, sorry is not the hardest word.
Absurd as it's getting.
Yeah, I know that word.
We can continue to talk about it if you want.
We should mention after the show today, it's Banter Blitz with Super Grandmaster Peter Svidler. If you happen to be a Chess24 Premium member, you can challenge him. If not, you can become one. chess24.com/premium. And maybe you can beat Peter like a certain Maxi Bogue smashed yesterday during Peter's show.
Oof.
Magnus, don't you feel bad when you play this h5 move against Peter? Like, he's been very unhappy.
I don't know. I think at this point, I feel like I have to defend my ideas, right. like Steinitz used to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except your ideas aren't as good as Steinitz.
I'm sure H5 is a lot better than some of his ideas in the Evans.
I will grant you that. Yeah, I think
that's fair.
I've actually this annoyed me to such a degree that we went for a walk with Olga yesterday, kind of late at night, and it's peaceful. There's nobody out there, and people walking dogs in the distance. All very bucolic and things. And I spent like most of the walk trying to find the refutation of h5, c3, d5. I've come up with some interesting ideas, but like it's now a brain worm that's eating at me, and
yeah,
it's just not healthy.
See what you've done.
Yeah, and Duda actually has not made it all that easy on himself. He might not win now, because he missed what Magnus was suggesting, and now it's I think it's very much up in the air if he wins or not. And it is quite relevant because Muzichuk is now making a forced draw, so if Duda wins, they actually save the match. But he might not be winning.
That's a bit of a bummer, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
But he could still win, no?
Yeah, it's not impossible, but...
make this go away. Sorry. Yep.
But it's sort of genuinely tricky now.
Dude.
Probably still winning, though. Probably you end up starting to run the G-pawn up the board just fast enough.
Chess24 is saying, I bet in Hearthstone Peter knows every playable card by name and their art.
Not in the current set. The current set still surprises me a little bit.
It's like Pokemon, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Exactly the same.
Bit.
Is this just a draw? Looks drawish.
No, Rook
C1?
Yeah, Rook C1 probably wins, but...
King B5, King E3 played.
Yeah, this is now winning, yeah. Rook C1 was very important to not allow King B4 in time, and now White is still firmly in control.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I guess there was no real way to continue properly here anyway.
So you guys are both playing in this Steinitz thing, right? We discussed it earlier. I think the lineup has been published.
Oh yeah, and I'm loving the fact that they've actually staggered the playing sessions for men and women, so that Grishuk and Lagnu can take turns watching the kids.
That's just responsible.
I mean, that must be the reason. No, basically, I just saw that Grishuk was playing, and lots of other strong.
Yeah, so
Russian
I have the list on my screen right now. Assuming everybody agreed, it's Magnus, Sasha, Rapport, myself, Jeffrey Shong, Dubov, Memidyarov, Lekon Liam, Anton Korobov, and Anton Giharo.
Yeah, it's just everybody that's not playing in this current event. That's how I always remember it.
Yeah, and the women's lineup is also extremely strong, headed by Katerina Lagno, and lots of very strong players in that as well.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
What's the format? 3+2 or?
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't want to go without increment, so.
What do you mean, unfortunately? Give the old farts a chance.
No, I'm like, I'm thinking, yeah, that means that you actually have to play well, which that disappoints me a bit. But apart from that, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think very very high quality chess is gonna be seen.
Beautiful. That starts on the 15th of May. Ugh, chess never ends. What do you do till then, Magnus? Any plans? Norway is reopening?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of it's opening from the 15th of June. But no plans. I'm gonna issue a challenge in the Banter Blitz later on, like short-term plans. So that's the first plan.
Yeah.
We'll see after that.
Sounds good.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, do that. Thank you so much, Magnus. And yeah.
And we're not playing increments, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm aware.
World champion Magnus Carlsen, ladies and gentlemen. So this is literally the last game running, and I think it just ended with a victory for Jan Krzysztof Duda.
Yeah, and that means that Europe is only a point behind the US. That was a very important victory for the young Pole. And tomorrow the day will actually kick off with arguably the decisive remaining match of the round robin phase. US playing against Europe. If the US wins, that ends the run for the second the race for the second place outright. If Europe wins or there's a draw, there is still all to play for in the final round. In the final round, the US plays China and Europe plays the rest of the world. That's actually a lot closer than I thought, right? Because with no disrespect to the rest of the world, they aren't really doing that well in the tournament so far. Both India and Russia have overtaken them. They are sort of firmly at the bottom of the standings. So as long as Europe doesn't lose to the US in round 9, there will be everything to play for in the final round of the day, which is something you like to see.
Beautiful. It's all going according to plan. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to bring up the standings. Give me 1 second here. Sorry for the mess.
They will appear momentarily, but
I'm not so sure.
I trust in you explicitly. Also,
But do you trust in me explicitly?
Generally, yes. I've seen you crush it as an expert professional.
So yeah, here we are. China cruising. USA still in the running, as is Europe. India Russia, somewhat surprisingly, and the rest of the world are having a bit of a tough time.
Yeah, and China very, very dominant so far, winning 7 out of their 8 matches, and can basically not show up tomorrow and still qualify for the finals. But yeah, a very exciting race for the second super final spot expected tomorrow. Will be interesting to see if Anish makes an appearance, because he was rested for both of the matches today.
He can start joining us at this rate, no? If he never plays, yeah. Anish, stop by. Tell us how mean Gary has been on all these Zoom calls.
Yeah, we genuinely want to know.
So that ends today's installment of the J. Peterman show with Peter and Jan, and appearances by the world champion Magnus Carlsen, and more importantly, the people's champ Lawrence Trent today. But Peter is not done. Peter will be here playing a banter blitz, so you can challenge him. His username is Paul Borta on chess24.com if you are a Chess24 premium user. If not, you have 5 minutes now to go premium, challenge Peter, get yourself a hot beverage, and then play a lovely chess game.
On that topic, maybe I should get myself a hot beverage myself before I proceed. So if you could somehow give me like 3 minutes to...
I will play all the clips we have here. And Peter, yeah, thank you so much for today. Peter will be doing more bantering in a couple minutes, so stay tuned.
Thank you. A question on Twitter from Damas. I should not have pronounced that. That was a bit of a trap, yeah?
For those of you who are new to chess, it might look like ba3 is an illegal move here, because white advances pawn 2 squares, not 1. But it's a little something we call en passant. And you can do that, but you have to do it instantly. You can't wait for a move, like let's say play king e7, king g2, and now try, because I couldn't do it.
I'm sorry. This is too funny for words.
This is a software glitch? I'm pretty sure there's not a lot.
Lawrence. Hello, Lawrence. Yeah, I'll play 4 against Lawrence. And now he's going to play something against me which we've discussed at length during the course of my stay. Yeah, he told me this is excellent. d5, this was what I was kind of hoping for, because now I think e5 is quite strong. No, Lawrence, this is not how chess works. Sadly, it would be much, much more fun if chess actually worked like this. But I don't think it does. Or maybe it does. Well, that's me regretting what I just said. How did I get from there to here is a little bit beyond me. And what's worse, I will never hear the end of it. My quality of life has just gone downhill tremendously, because I'm actually sharing the office with the guy. e5. It's e5 patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1e4 based on 1e5, now available to study with Chessable's unique Move Trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 knight f6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe e4 doesn't exist after all.
e5. It's e5 patzers. A question on Twitter from Damas. I should not.
Don't mind me, I'm just trying to figure out how to get rid of myself, literally. How can I close this window? Go away, Jan. And he's gone. So is Peter's chair. This is very mysterious. So, challenge Paul Borta on good old Chess 24 and the Banter Blitz action here. We'll just continue on this very feed. I'm back. Let me challenge. Nah, I'll mess up the graphics. To recap, today we've had quite some excitement. We've seen Jan Nepomniachtchi having a tough tournament. Shut it down again.